Welcome back to the State of the Heart podcast, a podcast where myself and Water KH discuss the lore of Kingdom Hearts. How you going, man?
Doing good. Finally, finally excited to finally be like getting this done. I think it's like what the fifth time that we've gotten interrupted
We've had a
trying to
couple
record
false
this
starts. Yeah,
episode.
we've had a couple false starts, so that's okay. We're pushing
So
forward. We're soldiering on.
yeah,
Um,
apologies for the delay, but I'm really excited to talk about the discussion points that we got lined up.
yeah, so today we were hoping to talk a little bit more about Missing Link, and then basically right as we went to start recording, a couple hours earlier, the new cutscenes were updated for Dark Road in version 5.0.1, and we thought, oh, perfect, that's a nice little segue from the previous episode into the next one anyway, so we might
Yeah.
go over a few of those. Before we touch on that, though, we were going to briefly go over just some feedback from the past episode. We got a ton of positive feedback, and that was really, 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 really appreciated. We weren't going to cover every single comment, but apart from just to say that it was extremely kind of you guys. You were again very positive and receptive to this
Yeah.
sort of podcast, so it was very encouraging.
Yeah, it was
Um,
awesome. Yeah.
but just a couple of comments in particular that I guess were conducive to the discussion. There was one by is it Francine and Drake,
Mhm.
and there were a couple other people that sort of commented along this line. But yeah, I essentially had no idea how time actually worked in Sleeping Beauty with Maleficent and Aurora. So I've actually gone back and watched the episode, the whole movie since, just so I have a
Right.
better. Well, so skip through it a little bit, but um, just so I had a better understanding of the way time works in that world.
hmm Yeah, no, I don't think I even realized exactly when that was taking place in Dark Road. Uh, yeah, like how the comment was saying, it's like it was the curse when she was an infant, not, the whole putting the everybody to sleep kind of thing, or Aurora to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, so for context, in the last episode, I think I was talking about the time difference between Dark Road and Birth by Sleep, and I think I was saying that it was only a relatively very, very short amount of time. Um,
Right.
Even though obviously Xehanort's aged, whatever, 75, 85, whatever amount of time it is from his point of view. And I was thinking that the world itself had only aged a very short amount of time as well, but that's not the case.
Right.
You could argue that it's been at least 16 years for the world itself. Like if the Dark Road upperclassmen got to Enchanted Dominion at the time when Maleficent first, well, sorry, when the fairies first took Aurora from the castle when she was literally still a baby,
Mhm.
then it could be about 16 years until the events of Birth by Sleep happen,
Right.
and she's
Right.
just been put under the spell, and the entire
Which
castle has been put to sleep. Kingdom.
yeah, yeah. I guess you could argue that. I think what you were saying, right, is like time works differently. Was your original argument, which
Yeah.
I think I was kind of behind, but yeah, after that explanation from the other, or from Francis and Drake and a couple other people like you mentioned, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense.
It's just a bit cleaner, because
Yeah,
it's sort of a riding crutch at the moment where it's like, oh yeah, time just works however we need it to work, so that they can
yeah,
interact with whatever characters we need them to interact with. And I was saying it was just, oh, it's very, very convenient that, you know, it seems like barely any time has passed at all. But, a ratio
yeah,
of about 16 years passing in this world to about 85 in the real world. Not that I have any other point of reference, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I can
yeah.
live with that. That's pretty good.
Right, right.
There
Yeah,
was
and
some,
then
yeah, go on.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah. Moving on to
Yeah.
Edith Vanitas, we had another commenter. Um, just talking about the differences between Ericus's and Yensid's and Odin's. Yeah.
Michael
Um,
Mastery exam.
yeah, yeah. I think you had a couple thoughts on that.
Um, yeah, so the comment basically talked about the idea that that Ericus's task was like far, far, far too easy,
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of and that makes Master Odin's the outlier in terms of Marker Mastery exams. But I sort of feel like Ericus's was the outlier, not Odin's, because if you think like the real Marker Mastery, I feel like Aqua obviously did pass hers and was fully made a master, which is fine.
Yep.
And even though people do like to meme on the, hit ball to pass test, I think the true test was when Aqua and Terra battled each other and Terra couldn't keep
Yeah.
his darkness in check. But then
Yeah.
Ericus offers him the chance to be like, okay, go out and explore the worlds, search for the missing Master Xehanort, and
Mm-hmm.
should you return, when you return, essentially, I'll make you a master then if you're successful,
Right.
which is much more similar to and again goes into 3D. It's very similar as well to Sora and Riku's from Dream Drop Distance, as well as the upperclassmen's, and to an extent the lowerclassmen's from from 3D and Dark Road respectively, where they have to go embark on a journey through various worlds to either learn something new or find something hidden that's been lost. Either it's the the even though the test was to broaden their horizons, Hoda felt like Balder and Ericus felt like the test itself was the mark of mastery. Like, sorry, the exploration, the preparation for the test was the mark of mastery. And obviously, in the case of Sora and Riku in Dream Drop Distance, literally exploring the worlds, unlocking the 7 sleeping keyholes, and then coming back was their mark of mastery. So it's really only, like in that case, it's very, very similar to Ericus's test for Terra, and Ericus's test with Aqua and Terra is the only early outlier.
Right.
In that scenario.
Yep. And then we had one more commenter, Catter003, and they said, in Recoded, it's shown that Sora's ability to take the hurt in his heart to feel closer to the people is what sets him apart. And yes, I definitely agree with that. And I wanted to highlight this because, yes, Recoded is a very important entry to the series, and people that think it's not important are wrong. And yeah. Yeah.
That's why you like that comment, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I understand now. We had sort of talked about the idea that obviously Sora is quite empathetic, and it's interesting. I mean, he shares a lot of qualities with Xehanort and with Balder as well, like both you had to see into people's hearts. And there was one huge parallel between, I saw a lot of people drawing, which was that Xehanort like clenches his chest at one point during Dark Road, and I'll see if I can find it. But he essentially goes ahead and is feeling like a lot of pain when it's first revealed that Balder has, gone evil.
Mm-hmm.
And people were thinking that could be very similar to the way that Sora reacts during the Arendelle world, during the Frozen world.
Right, right.
So I'm just showing that on screen now. I do think though, like, yeah, at the time, if you didn't know the context of that scene, you might think that, and I guess you could still read it like that. But I guess in hindsight, it feels more like Hoda is within Xehanort, and she is reacting at that point, because he even like looks down in a bit of surprise at his own heart and is like, "What the heck? Oh, this must be her."
So I think what you were saying is like, right, they can sense the darkness, but I think it's more that they're empathetic, right? They're feeling what the other person's feeling, and as is with Hoda and Balder, and then with Sora and Elsa, right?
I think so.
I mean, yeah, we can't know for sure, I guess, but
unless
because it's more Sora is connected with Anna, who's just got hurt by Elsa,
right.
So he's like, right.
He's literally feeling that hurt, yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think in this case, Xehanort is more not necessarily connected to Balder as much. He's more literally harboring Hoda's heart, and that is making her feel like that's what's making it's her reaction, and he's having a visceral reaction to that. The same way that Sora would, have a tear running down his cheek, when Roxas sees, the Twilight Down trio, and Sora doesn't really understand why he's crying, but he feels sad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I think it's more analogous to that, which again, it still goes along with the idea that they're still similar.
Yeah. Right.
Empathetic.
It is still like the empathetic thing, yeah. But I think in a little bit different context, I think, than what they were saying.
I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll try and do this each episode. Like, if there are comments that we think provoke discussion, sort of go ahead and try and highlight those and sort of add our thoughts to them, because that's what we love doing. We do really love discussing all things Kingdom Hearts.
And especially why Recoded is, really integral to the series. So if you guys have positive Recoded comments to leave, we might just pick those again.
Our Recoded apologists, what a KH everyone. No, I do like it as a game. I think we have got it on our board already as like a discussion point that.
Yes, I have that on. I want to discuss that.
Our Recoded as a game.
The movie, all right, I can see why. All right, and I think the same thing with like Days. Like I think people's only experiences are with those two movies, Days and Recoded. So I feel like you just kind of miss out on the experience of the game to like I don't know solidify like why it actually was a good experience.
It's almost like the
I don't know.
Kingdom Hearts equivalent of like, oh, the book is way better than the movie.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. No. No. Like literally. Yeah.
I mean, they're never going to have
Um.
enough time to. Well, we're going to do an episode of this. We're going to do an episode of this. All right.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. But today's topic, though, was we wanted to look forward at Missing Link and sort of talk about some various things about that. So,
But before that, we wanted to kind of go through the new scenes with Dark Road,
of course,
right?
yeah, right.
Awesome. Awesome. Because yeah, I think we were literally about to like sit down and record the missing link, and then it was like, hey, the new cutscenes are out.
Exactly. Yeah, we were. That's exactly what was going to happen.
Mhm.
So I've got it basically pulled up here.
Mhm.
Because it will start at the very
Yes.
start, right? The chronological. And again, these are all the ones that have been discovered so far through a mix of, I guess, myself. The main one I saw, I guess, Kingdom Hearts Insider had a thread, and I did pull some from there. And then I saw
Mhm.
Keynote who had noticed the music had changed in um,
The
the
Magic Mirror
Magic
fight,
Mirror
right?
fight. Yeah, and even though I made a mistake in my text, yeah, because that's the. It is a shame about Dark Road that you can't replay all the fights. Not that I guess anyone except an idiot like me would really
Yeah.
want to, but for literally just for footage capturing reasons, it is kind of a shame you
Right.
can't replay. Like you can never fight
It
the
is an
final
odd
boss
decision,
again.
yeah, because they are segmented into missions, so it's not like you couldn't replay a mission.
Right.
Like with Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, right? Like
Yeah.
you could play all through the missions, but this one was like, now you can only play it once, which was interesting. I guess in the and with Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, it is kind of like, you're reliving these dreams. So maybe that was their cause for letting you replay missions.
I suppose, but maybe they just didn't want to design a new like mission interface, and at
Yeah.
that point, if you're gonna have replayability, you need to have a reason to have replayability. So with some sort of collectible or some sort of 3-star ranking you can achieve, whatever, whatever, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
and they
Fair
just
enough.
didn't want to add any of that in. I assume.
Yeah. And I guess to make it more distinct as well from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross.
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, I think probably the main thing. Well, let's start at the start, I suppose. They went out of their way to completely redo the opening, whereas in the past you had this image of the default, I suppose what you would call the default male character, this guy in his
Mhm.
little yellow jumpsuit, um, who was going through all the various Disney worlds, and then the final shot is of the Keyblade graveyard where um, he sort of looks up at Ephemera and has got tears running down his cheek,
Yeah.
which then opens up into, then transitions into Xehanort in exactly the same pose with basically exactly the same tears running down his cheek. Um, and so that released, for I guess people maybe who weren't following the mobile games,
Mhm.
that released prior to the ending of Union Cross. So when the ending of Union Cross came out, it seemed like, oh, okay, even further evidence to the fire. Like Union Cross never said it explicitly, but when they said you're going to be reborn as someone new, and then you see these shots of this blue cloaked guy holding this baby, and you see the baby grow up. Then you see the old person in blue fall over, and then you see two more shots of Xehanort on their own. It's like, oh, okay, well, the implication is that we're getting reborn into Xehanort. And then you look back at the opening of Dark Road, and that seems even more confirmed, where it's like, yeah, we're having these literal parallels. When you start Dark Road, you get to name your character in exactly the same way. And, why would you name it something different, I guess? Like, why wouldn't you just call yourself the same name you're
Yeah.
already using in Union Cross?
And not
Um,
to add like fire to your argument, because I think we disagree a bit, which we're gonna discuss.
yeah, that's awesome.
Um, but I think at the end of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross as well, there is like the scene of the heart, like kind of doesn't it like come into Xehanort? Like doesn't it float down into him, or am I misremembering that?
No. You mean the heart of the player when the blue
Yeah.
coat person falls down, or you mean like the player the keys?
No, I feel like at the end of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, right? Like you're hugging your Chirithy, right? And then you like let your heart go. And I thought the heart was like I thought like it panned black, and then you see your white heart, and then like as it's like floating down, it like fades into young Xehanort, waking up on the beach with tears? Or am I like totally misremembering that scene?
Yeah, no. It just sort of like
Okay.
you're in a fully white background, and it just sort of disappears off to the right. I
Okay, that's
believe.
weird. That's really weird because I could swear that that's how that happened. Okay, but anyway, so then I retract that. Okay. um, but
Absolutely.
yeah, this scene right here, and maybe yeah, I could be totally off.
Spoilers for the
But
Indian Cross,
man,
but yeah, we sort of flash
this is
forward.
also an amazing scene.
I love it. Yeah, it haunted me for weeks, and it still kind of does.
Yeah,
Like I still get a little bit just I don't know off center when I like.
yeah.
Yeah, so these are the scenes we saw. So we see this flash forward into a quote unquote the new life that we were going to melt into. So it's five, I think
Mm-hmm.
five distinct shots. It's one, two, three, and then obviously
Right.
Blue Cloak falls over, and then two more shots of this guy alone waking up. And yeah, being completely without the player who's now been dead for a while now. I'm just going to say player because it's like, well, that's who it now is in canon, no
Yeah.
matter what
Yeah.
my stupid head canon says. Um, and we seem
Wait,
really
I thought
content.
it
We're
was
like, yep,
here.
great, awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna fade away in a second, and our heart's gonna float off to the right. Um,
Okay.
I guess for anyone, sorry, consuming this as
Oh,
an
the
audio
audio.
format,
Yeah.
for the video format, I'm trying an experiment where I'm pulling up the cutscenes while I'm talking to you about them, so you can see what I'm talking to for reference. So if anyone is watching audio only, and you do want to see what I'm talking about, if we talk about a scene specifically, like in this case right here, where the heart kind of floats away to the right a little bit and then just up, and then the credits roll.
Ah, okay.
Um,
Why did I? Okay, I must have dreamed that. Because I swear to you, that I wasn't. I. That's so weird. Okay, it's not after the credits that
nope,
Xehanort wakes up on the beach. That's
nope,
so strange.
nope, nope, nope. No, you don't see
Wait.
Xehanort again.
Okay.
The
Anyway,
post
so then.
credits is
Okay.
Brain waking up and sort of
Right.
the whole
Yep. No,
discussion
you're right.
with Sigurd.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, that's so strange. Okay.
But yeah, it's like the first thing to talk about. I don't mind it either way. I feel like it makes a lot more sense if I don't know, for Missing Link, it's like, okay, great, yeah, we're reborn into essentially the player gets another life, and the Missing Link
Right.
protagonist is going to be player again in a sense. It's player's second lifetime, which is great and meta and everything. I can't look at this without thinking it's a wreck, like it's a change decision. I feel like the original intention, and I know we
Yeah.
disagree on this, which is good.
Yeah.
I want to debate it with you. I feel
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
original intention was that okay, Union Cross is ending, but there's already an install base here. We've already rebooted the game once from Unchained Key into Union Cross, and it did semi work. The game got, for a mobile game, a pretty long life, about 6 years, ignoring the fact that it's already had a life as Kingdom Hearts Key, in a sense, and then came over to mobile phones. Can we literally get the paddles out and jolt this thing one more time? Can we call it Dark Road and imply that, oh no, it's still you. You're still the player. You're still important. You're just in Xehanort now. Xehanort is reborn as the player. Sorry, the player's
Right.
reborn as Xehanort. And we'll tell this big long story with Dark Road the same way we did with Union Cross. It'll be a huge source of, it's still a continuing source of monetization for us, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it flopped. And it just, we can talk about why Dark Road just flopped as a concept in its own episode if we want to, but it just simply didn't
Yeah.
work. I mean, in my mind, because there's no reason to monetize it unless you are, with all due respect, that one idiot who would post these videos on Facebook of like, here I am spending hundreds of dollars just to get the new card in Dark Road. Like, there was no
Yeah.
competitive ladder, and even when there was, they added it in way too late,
Yeah.
and they did it wrong. It was never going to be
Okay, and
monetized.
I think we disagree on that too, because I think it was either me or you or me and Jason, but I remember discussing the mechanics behind why it should have worked, but why it didn't. But we can discuss that in our other video.
We can wrap
Um,
into this one now. I mean, I think I like the idea of a Tower of Trials. It just fundamentally, to me was stupid because it was only dependent on when you woke up and completed the content. If it was timed within itself, so it doesn't matter when you start it, you've got a
Right.
week. Okay, complete this in the best possible time, then submit your time. And you can replay it if you want to, therefore adding to the replayability of it and adding to the reason why you'd want to buy more cards to try and get better at your score, whatever. Go ahead and tie that in with with a weekly, oh, this card's available, it's going to be good against the final boss, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
You could
Right.
have monetized that way better, except, I mean, it was great for me because at 3 p.m., here's the new Tower of Trials, go ahead and play it. Like, I was always like
Yeah.
top 50 or whatever. But for anyone else in the world, it sucked. It was like,
Right. Right.
okay.
But the only reason and this is I think right, the only reason that worked or why people were getting it done so quickly was because they would exploit the game, right? Like you'd hit the pause button, see which cards to line up, unpause, tap them, and pause it again, right? I don't think that was right. If you didn't have that fast reaction time, I don't feel like you could have been able to complete the challenge without spending money and buying cards and stuff. So I feel like
Okay.
that was a really big exploit that was used that then took away people spending money on the game, right? Because then there is no incentive to buy more because you can kind of just, I mean, right, but you would have to get lucky and get good cards. But I think for the main people, right, that already had the good setup or the lucky people, you know, you just had to exploit it to get to the top. Because I feel like right, the release time was bad, or not well thought out. Because right, if it's at like your 3 p.m., that would be at my like I don't
Well,
know
right now, 7 p.m.
11
for you,
a.m.
but
or
you mean,
something.
oh,
Oh
when
well,
you're in
yeah,
the
but when I
States.
was back in States, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember it being a bit, I had to wake up pretty early to get it or stay up late. Um, but I feel like, you know, they made it more like, people aren't gonna do this because there's no way you can, hit the cards that fast and still get the multiplier. But
Mm.
I can see the whole like, time trial sense. Like that would make a little bit more sense of like how fast you could complete it. But I think right, wasn't it? However high you got, you could go back to that spot. So like if you died
You
on
would
like
start
level
from that spot
29,
again. Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I really think it was more of like, if the exploit wasn't there, it would have really
Hmm.
helped that scenario.
I do see it, and I guess they were trying to be more analogous to the Colosseum from Unicross, which is completely offline, right? And it was like
Right.
you just fight increasingly more difficult enemies, but eventually you're
Yeah.
going to cap out. Eventually, you will reach your strength cap. There's nothing really you can do about it aside from spending resources, and it's
Yeah.
not timed because it's a difficult challenge. And
And I think it's like a step above the Coliseum, right? Because you'd have like 6 turns to go, and then it would be the enemies. So they had to do this like massive attack that would force you to use, your revive or your pet revive. Um,
essentially, yeah, you get, I mean, 18 moves or whatever. I guess not including
yeah,
supernovas because yeah, you'd have the two revives, one from the pet, one from
right.
second
Supernovas.
chance.
Yeah.
Um,
So I feel like this was like a better version of that, because it's like it's like a constant like the enemy's always attacking and you got to get your moves in quick and strategize while you're also thinking on the fly.
mm.
But then yeah, just the pause. Let me think about this for 5 minutes, or not 5 minutes, right? But I feel like that really did change how that was played. And I don't know, as a developer, like if somebody's exploiting my game already, like it's such a big design, right? Decision. I don't know if you can change it that late in the game, especially because I don't think it was even in house that they were developing it. Um, but anyway,
Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
enough about it. I mean, I feel like I was doing the exploit, if you want to call it that, quite early on, like almost immediately.
I think a
Um,
lot of people, yeah.
I guess my
I mean,
counter to that would
isn't
be
it?
like,
Wouldn't it be an exploit though? I mean,
I mean, it's you could feasibly do it that fast, it's not consistently, right? Like if you were quick enough with your wits, you could be like, all right, color, color, color. Like with enough
but you're like
practice, you
doing it
could get
frame
good
one,
enough at it.
right? Like, I don't know if you could do that quick.
I mean, because I would pause because I was still racing anyway, right? Like the longer you paused with the competition set the way that it was, the longer you paused, you potentially the worse you were going to do in the rankings because, like
Somebody else could pause buffer faster.
yeah, well, I mean, you're still trying to get your time in as quickly as you possibly could. I don't think I ever made like top 10 or got like a reward for it because like someone, people always beat me to the
Yeah.
very, very top. So like it wasn't I wasn't pausing for very long and being like, all right, let me plan my move. It was just quick pause, find 3 colors, okay, zoom, unpause again.
Okay.
So I was only really giving myself like, I'm only speaking for me, just a slight amount
Right.
of
Right.
advantage. But yeah, I mean, I grant you, it was definitely an advantage over someone that wasn't doing that. I guess my counter
Yeah.
would be, I think they used the Dark Tide as the final boss like 2 times, Demon Tide, like 2 times in a row without buffing it. And it's like, if they were so concerned about us exploiting the game, wouldn't they just buff the enemy a little bit more to the point where, because like I wouldn't even beat it every single time. It wasn't like a
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that I'd win. Like again, I was free to play, and yeah, I could do it in no small part thanks to the pause buffering, but um, it wasn't guaranteed, and it took me a few tries. So wouldn't they just make it like, I don't know, slightly stronger again to the point where I couldn't pause buffer my way through it, or that now you're just alienating a huge section of the population and you're just pissing everybody
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
Well,
I don't
because
know.
right, you got to balance it in the way, right? Because if you can't make a boss, because right at that point, then you'd be balancing the boss for the pause buffer as opposed to just straight gameplay.
Right.
Because right, if you're not pause buffering, then I don't know. For when I'm playing it normally,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm just bad with colors and like knowing which cards do what actions. I'm like, you know, getting blue, green, and blue, or like red, red, green, or something like. You
Right.
know, I'm not really good at it, but you know, that could be user error. Like I guess you could, right? You could train yourself to know which card is like their action gonna be by the card, and then just match the colors. Which saying it out loud sounds easier, but my brain can't work that fast, I guess.
I suppose my overall point is that like at the end of the day, it still wasn't enough of an incentive for people to spend money on Dark Road. Like
Yeah.
if you're only, and I literally do mean only, well, I guess earning BP faster than the other guy, but who cares? Like we all maxed out levels pretty damn quickly. It
Yeah.
was never really an issue. It was literally just
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
gets the rewards for this Tower of Trials mode, which were kind of rewards anyway compared to the resources it would take to be the first person to get there.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't click on my profile. I guess you could. Yeah, okay. Once the tower was added in, you could then click on my profile and see what cards I used to beat the tower.
Right.
Um, but that was like the only method of actually seeing another player. I imagine a large part of these gacha things is showing off the stuff that you've got, right? Like, isn't that surely that's
Exactly.
half the
Yeah.
point? You know, you customize your avatar because it's a special cosmetic that only I got during this event, or because I paid for it. I paid a premium for it, and I get to feel like I'm, you know,
Yeah.
in this sense superior to the free to play players, which is what drives the gacha economy in the first place. And I
Yeah. It
think
is
by the
very
time they
PvP. Yeah.
added it in, it was just, well, yeah, of course, and PvP as well, yeah. And by the time they added this one small mode in, it was, I just, I still think it was overwhelmingly flawed. Like, regardless of,
Yeah. No,
like,
I agree.
the whole time release is just, it's crazy. Like, you only get one shot at it, and it's whoever submits a time, whoever completes it the fastest. That's crazy for a
Yeah.
competitive mode. Like,
And I think that's because of like Kingdom Hearts Union Crosses, because I feel like right. I think we discussed this a long time ago, back when I was like, uh, you know, doing some work on that like Metal View or whatever. But like the schedule of their releases, like if that like had any kind of qualm, like if they had to do like an update or so, like it seemed like the entire service went down, and they had to like spend like the next 2 or 3 days working on it to make it release again. Like it seemed very unstable with how they were releasing patches and updates to it. Um, and I had a point that I was gonna make with that, but I feel like yeah, any kind of update they would make to Dark Road would right like changing the update schedule, right when they release that tower of challenges or whatever. Like I don't think they could physically change to be like to release on everybody's like 3 p.m. or something, or like make it, you know, based on when you completed it, like when you started it minus the time when you completed it,
I mean,
because it was such a brittle
Union Cross
environment. I think they were
itself had
working with.
missions though. They weren't that often, but every now and then we'd have an event mission where it was literally run this gauntlet in the fastest possible time. Like there were various races that were already in the game. You would launch a mission,
Yeah.
complete it at a certain time, the timer would stop, and then you wouldn't see the leaderboard, but there would be an in-game leaderboard, and they would publish the results later on. Be like, okay, this person completed it in 10 seconds, 0.05, whatever,
Right.
and then they
And
would
I
win.
gotta feel like that was very custom. Like, this is probably why it wasn't so regular.
Maybe just there was an
I don't know, I'm just
interest,
speaking
like,
as and that could be fair too. I don't know. I just know that there was, any kind of update that messed with stuff too much. It felt like it kind of tanked their whole servers or whatever. But again, I don't know their whole development structure, but from an outside view, being a developer, I feel like, it seemed like it wasn't very modular in what they could do with the system.
mm. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't
But
speak to that. I guess just like, from a basic design idea, if this was their Hail Mary to try and get more people to spend money on Dark Road, clearly it didn't work. Like,
yeah,
the game
yeah,
was, we got what, 4 Tower of Trials. They didn't change the format at any time during that. They had months to change it. They didn't never change the format, and
yeah.
any interest in PvP was surely wiped out for a ton of people. And I think, again, I
No,
think it had potential.
exactly.
Like I've said this before, but I think that they did the smart thing where buying VIP for however much it
Hmm.
was a week in Union Cross also got you benefits in Dark Road, exclusive benefits that other people weren't getting, which I
Right.
think was smart. Even if you weren't initially invested in Dark Road, you finish up in Union Cross, you click over in Dark Road, and oh, look at that, you get some freebies waiting for you. And they're just trying
Hmm.
to get you into this economy to give a crap about it, to be like, well, I've already come this far, I may as well keep going. And eventually they know
Right.
Union Cross
Right.
won't last forever. Okay, yeah, well, okay, I've spent a little bit here, I'll keep spending. Now I'm invested, now my character's really powerful. I don't want to see all that go to waste. It's the
Yeah.
whole FOMO thing,
I'm.
and
Yeah. I'm almost wondering if it wasn't meant to be. Like, I kind of wonder if it was meant to be played offline in the end, but they released it online to kind of milk the last little bit of Union Cross's online services, to be like, hey, now you can get a little bit extra by paying for VIP with this new game. I see your argument though. Like, I think your argument like, I think they were trying to pull people over
yeah, I
to
don't
get
see you launch
invested.
a product, you have a whole, like, oh, you need Dark Road, blah, 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 and launch it as a way not to make money. I feel like mobile gaming is so gargantuanly big, and Square Enix is looking at that going, hey, Kingdom Hearts is a hugely popular franchise. Why can't we
Yeah.
make this work? Why can't we get this thing going? Union Cross, it
Yeah, but the
keys
story
sort of
wasn't long
worked.
though. Like, I don't think it would have. Like, they released what, 4 chapters right away, or was it once a month or?
Dark Road was 3 chapters over like 6 or 7 months. 2 came out pretty much straight away. Then there was a gap. Then the third one came out. Then there was a huge gap until this
Okay.
final update released. And they could have. It felt like they were trying to
And they could
space
have
it
drip
out.
fed it,
Like they could have
but
definitely dragged it out a lot longer if they wanted to.
yeah. I
What?
guess I'm just still with Nomura. Like, his word, he was like, you know, it didn't seem planned that they were gonna tell the story, so building an economy around it kind of doesn't make as much sense. Like, if you come at it from the perspective of, hey, Square Enix gave me the green light to make this little spin-off,
I think it's them
Xehanort
giving him the green
story.
light. I feel like it's the other way around. Like, make us a bloody successful mobile game, you bastard. Get in there, tell some crappy story with your Nomura charm. Make us
Yeah,
money. Mobile platform makes squillions. Make us money with it. Go, quick.
Skillions.
Get onto it.
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
I mean, this leads me to
Anyways,
my whole, like, the sort of the point I was getting at was that, okay, if you try and make the player into Xehanort, be like, okay, yeah, you're still invested. There's still a storyline reason for why you're playing as Xehanort on this mobile phone. We've literally drawn
Yeah.
these exact parallels through, showing him waking up on the beach. And then the thing flops. Then you go, all right, let's try again. We're going to call it Missing Link, and we're going to go. we're going to tell the story in a completely different format. The Union Cross app, we're just going to let that go.
No, it's getting changed into Missing Link,
Oh,
right?
is it? It's definitely
I thought
not.
that's what they said.
No, they're going to use the platforms again, as in the social media accounts that already have thousands of followers with them. They're going to use
Oh,
those
really?
again.
Huh.
But yeah, no, the app itself is it's Union Cross and Dark Road. It's not going to become Missing Link.
I must have misread that our interview.
Where-
Yeah.
And then it goes, oh, okay, you didn't actually reincarnate into Xehanort, you reincarnated into this other person. And
Okay,
they're
see,
the
but
one.
that's my thing, right? Why would they introduce this blue coated person?
Because it could have been anyone.
And
It's Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell, right? It's like, oh yeah, this important thing that we introduced 5 games ago. Oh, now it means something. They're just giving
right,
themselves
right, right.
license to be who. It could have been Ephemera, it could have been Brain, it could have been anyone.
Yeah, but they had Scold there, right? Like the person that looks like Scold, but it's
Yeah,
not actually Scold. Like,
yeah.
was that implied to be Scold at first?
No,
Is that
I
what?
never read that as Scald. No.
Okay, right. So then they would have had to have some foresight to be like, all right, this is an older version of a character. I don't know. I guess I could see that being Ephemer. I think that was my initial thought, was that it was Ephemer.
I got that impression as well. Either Ephemera or Brain. I was like, that's probably who that is.
Yeah, cause then Brain wakes up. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the timeline. Because I mean, even from Missing Link, Brain looks like he's about the same age as the player, right? Like Brain looks to be roughly the same age as the protagonist. Again, I'm taking this completely at face value, thinking that everything's happening at the same time, which could be completely wrong. But you know, if we have already seen our Missing Link protagonist in the trailer, either he's the person in the white coat or whoever, that
Oh yeah, that has to be him.
is approximately
Ah,
the same age as player, and they're going to both, be of grandparents' age at around the same time. I don't think you have to tweak the story all
yeah.
that much to turn Brain into, will turn Blue Coat person into the player instead.
Uh, right. I. Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, again,
Nah. Yeah. And fair. I can. After watching the cutscenes again, like, to me, I guess with my lens of like, this was always the idea.
mhm.
Um, you know, I kind of more interpreted it as, you're the blue character. Yes, you do pass away, but you're connected with, right, this child of destiny.
Sure.
So it's like, right, you see him grow up, and then then you don't see him, right? He only stays young, and then we don't see him anymore. So maybe that's when he reincarnated as Sora, or as the player. No.
Yeah, and if you want to rate it like that, like I get it, that is the canon explanation, by the way, of why we can see him, because Xehanort connected his heart and could see his memories, which I guess in players' dying moments, Kingdom Hearts key players' dying
Yep.
moments, they could also then see through into Xehanort's heart, I suppose, and look forward to him. I don't know. That is now
No,
whatever.
I
I mean,
mean, right,
I'll
yeah, like
accept
that
it. That's the
seems.
canon explanation. That's fine.
But you're still on the originally it was Xehanort,
100%.
which
Yeah.
I can see. I just yeah, I think I'm still stuck on why introduce the blue hooded and like a daughter Scold if we were the player. I don't know, or if we were Xehanort. But I guess I also forgot that you could name Xehanort, which I thought was weird. I
Right.
do remember having the distinct thought of, why can I name Xehanort? Right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't his name be Xehanort?
As soon as the Union Cross finale came out, I was like, literally everything, mate. It's perfect. Yeah. Like, it was right in front of our noses the entire time. It's perfect. Everything
Yeah.
lines up. And yeah, I mean, you could argue that it's a gigantic red herring. I'd just be like, well, what's the point? It
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, I feel like it's more satisfying if we are this new, like, player lives on as player again. Like, it's meta, it's great. I like the idea of
Mm.
being able to explore this time period between Union Cross and Dark Road. I'm very actually happy with this, more so than I
Yeah.
think. All right, so another one. You make all these Scala assets. I feel okay. I feel like the plot of Missing Link might have been told at
Hmm.
Dark Road at some point. Like, you have these like brand new Scala assets that are only used for that final scene with Brain. It's like, you reckon they weren't going to use them in Dark Road at some point?
Wait. You think the new Scholar
The
sits?
more gothic looking one that Missing Link takes place in.
Yeah.
Like, we have this
Oh,
one scene with Brain.
yeah. You
That's
think
it.
they were gonna put more of it in Union Cross before they made Dark Road?
Well, again, going back to the idea of like, okay, if Dark Road is successful, we can tell this whole story with it. And okay, whoops, scrap that. We're gonna make a whole new game out of it instead. We're just gonna repurpose, you know,
Yeah.
KH3's assets instead and go run with it now. I don't know. You make all this brand new
No,
map for
I mean,
Scala, and well, which you know
I
they've
did
they've
think it was
done.
weird.
They've made a lot of maps that are only used once or twice, so it's not like it's a perfect example. Like Wreck-It Ralph, they like lovingly recreated that entire movie for a couple scenes
Yeah,
each. At which point, most people didn't give a shit. They were just like, I don't care about Wreck-It Ralph. Like, take me back to Effimer and
honestly, yeah.
Malusha and Lorem and all that.
When I was going through those, I was like, this is I. It just felt so long. Like I don't know how long it actually was in the grand scheme of the entire game,
Months.
but it felt like, yeah, it was just. I think it was just because yeah, every ending of Wreck-It Ralph would bring like a little tiny drip of content
Just
from
a squeak. Yeah.
Ephemera or them. So you're like, you're just dreading the Wreck-It Ralph parts. But nah, yeah, they did put so much effort into that. So
Which is
I
such a
do feel
shame as
bad
well.
feeling
Like,
that. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like all the people clamoring for a remake of those games. It's like you understand how
Remake of
huge that would be? Like Unicross
oh
and
to
Dark
make
Road.
them, yeah, to make them like movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, even if you ignore the Disney gameplay, like if it just
right.
becomes a movie, then I don't know. Which I don't know. I have that on
I
the
guess
board
they've
as
kind
well
of
of like
done.
discussing if we should remake those games or not, and I'm kind of firmly in the no camp. But
I think I'm done with remakes. I think, you know, I was very much against remakes for a while there. I think I'm like less now, but that's probably because I just saw Tales of Symphonia is getting remade, and that was like a big part of my childhood. But nah, I think with Kingdom Hearts, they've done so many remakes that I
just
think
move forward.
they are aware of it now. Yeah. But I could also see them remaking them and calling them like 1 point or 2.5 or 2 point. No, they already have 2.8. I don't know, some like Redux version, right, where they remake the games in Unreal Engine. But I don't think they'd do that because right, you'd be getting rid of the Cage 2 engine, which everybody loved, and like replacing it with the Cage 3 engine, which not a lot of people enjoyed. So I cannot see that ending well if they remake those in Unreal 4
Oh,
or
like you mean
Unreal
the
5.
original games, like Cage One
Yeah,
and Two and stuff.
yeah, not just a port. Yeah,
Yeah,
fully remade.
I really
Because
hope
it
they
seems weird, right?
don't ever do
That
that. Honestly, like modders are doing that for you
I
for
would
free
love it.
right now. Go for it.
Well,
It's
that's the other thing, right?
it's all there
If
for you.
people
Have
are
fun.
doing it. I just thought it was so strange in Kingdom Hearts 3 how you started the game as like Cage 1 Sora. Like they took the time to model, which I granted, like it's not that big of a deal. Like Cage 1 and Cage 2 Sora, like they used at least Cage 2 Sora in the beginning, but it did seem like in my head, I was like, oh, okay, so they're maybe gearing up for a Cage 1 remake.
They have the model there.
Right. Well, it's like 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes of the game you spend as Cage 1 Sora. It's so strange to
Oh,
me.
30 seconds at most. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because yeah, you don't even go
You
through.
take 3 steps
Yeah.
towards the mirror and click triangle. Now you're
Press
playing as
triangle.
Cage Two. Sorry. Yeah.
Like, and I think that's what I loved about Cage 3. And I know we're getting way off topic, but it's like I don't know, like the minute details that they put in the game like that. Just like they didn't have to do that. And I know, right? They probably had other plans for it, and they just kind of merged everything at the end to make it cohesive, like a game. Like maybe you went off and did something as Cage 1 Sora. Like maybe the final world you're actually Cage 1 Sora. Who knows? And they're like, nah, we're gonna make it Cage 3 Sora. That makes sense to me. But anyways, yeah. How do we unspool or spool back the yarn?
Goodness. Yeah.
Get back to it.
Um, I don't know. I guess we can keep going through the new scenes for missing. Sorry, the new updated scenes.
right.
Which kind of keeps us going towards missing link. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we do disagree, but that's completely fine. Like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely of the opinion that not definitely, because what the hell do I know? I really don't know anything, but it
It's a
does.
compelling argument. I will give you that.
It does
That's
feel to me like Square Enix is breathing down their necks, telling them, you want to keep making these massive games that give us $60 once, and maybe
Mhm.
DLC if you're lucky. But people are happy for some reason, and I don't understand it at all. But people are very happy to keep throwing bucket loads of cash at mobile games and all these passes and this, that, and the other, and like.
Yeah.
We want some of that. We have a huge franchise in Kingdom Hearts, plus all the Disney backing and everything. Like we can literally go crazy monetizing this series. Do
Mhm.
that right now, and then you know, when they say Nomura goes the team approaching with this Dark Road idea, I don't think that was. I don't think the team is a couple animators going, we want to work more. Yeah, we'd love to keep.
Right.
Yeah, another 2 years of work. Toiling away in a friggin' basement. Yeah, sure, thank you. No, I'm pretty sure that's Square Enix going, God damn it, you make a successful mobile game with this franchise. And again, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then what's the next thing we hear? Bang, oh, it's missing Link. Like, we hear about that before we hear about Kingdom Hearts 4.
Right.
Like, Dark
Counter
Road
argument
spends
though.
so much time setting up missing Link. It's like, hey, guess what? You're the player. Oh, don't you want to know what happened in this weird Scala during this time? Oh, isn't that cool?
It is very cool. I'm very excited for Missing Link.
Oh,
But
actually, you're the player of
counter
Missing Link. Oh, actually, that's the main important part. Ooh.
right. Red herrings
Go
all
play
the
the
way
game. Go get invested in that game. Haha.
down. But I feel like if they were all about the money, they missed a huge opportunity with Melody of Memory,
What DLC?
right? Yes. Like if they want money, that like okay, two things for that game, right? Which I fixed both. No, okay, I'm not gonna say I fixed these. Cut that out because
You
I
did.
don't. I hate that. I hate when
You did.
people say
I'm
that.
not cutting anything. You did.
But right, adding songs like DLC, like huge moneymaker, and then online matchmaking with your friends, massive, like investment. Like people would play that game so much more if they could easily find their friends. Like cross plat too. Like it's made in Unity. Like that's all. I'm just so confused, right? Like and just so confused why they didn't. Like if they're all about the money, that's a huge like everybody loves Kingdom Hearts music. Like that's like I feel like if you talk to a Kingdom Hearts person, like at least top 3 is music for everybody. It's just so iconic to the series.
Sure.
And that to make a game like Melody of Memory and then not add DLC and not add online matchmaking, like right with online matchmaking, you could have made it where you have different skins and stuff. Like you could have done cosmetic stuff for this game. I don't know. And well, in theater rhythm, however you say it, they're doing
They've been doing
DLC and
DLC for
stuff.
ages. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Even on the 3DS.
it's so weird. I don't know. I didn't get it.
Yeah. No,
But I
that's,
guess
that's a
right, like
valid
that
point.
seems
Sure.
counter, right?
I guess
Whereas
it's just
with
like
Dark Road,
to
I
me
get
it's
that
like
it's a mobile
smaller
game.
bucket. Yeah, like compared to a mobile game, I feel like it's just a much. I don't know. With Kingdom Hearts, you feel like they feel incentivized to include story content in DLC. Like you already established that Melody of Memory, the rhythm game, has important story behind it. Do you think they'd be like, oh, we need to make more, or we need to have like lore reasons why these extra songs are included? I don't know.
Right. If you're going strictly from a story perspective, you would have gotten all the info from that 1 year dive. There's like you found where Sora was. There's no reason to keep going
Yeah.
back into her memory. So I can see that. But
Again,
yeah.
that kind
Yeah,
of
fair
goes against my own argument that they're screaming at me to make more money, but I don't know.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like of the people interested in Kingdom Hearts, again, as someone who loves Melody of Memory, it's probably not everyone's cup of tea. And then you're now taking the Venn diagram even smaller and saying, okay, now people would be willing to buy a DLC for the Kingdom Hearts rhythm game. Like maybe they just think.
Yeah.
Again, I agree with you. It should. I would have liked for it to have had it, and I would have definitely bought it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Not everybody would have, right?
would they though? I mean, I guess we're into it, but a lot of people. I imagine it's probably one of the least popular Kingdom Hearts games. Not for it being a bad game, it's just so different to the rest of the series. And a lot of people got what they wanted out of it just by watching a cutscene compilation. Like they go, okay, cool,
Yeah,
I didn't get it.
I guess I just maybe I'm like surrounded by people that love that game.
I think you literally are. Yes, you have the world record holder living with you. So yeah, I think you are definitely.
I guess whenever I talk to people though, I feel like music is like such a big thing. So like being able to play along with the music.
I think it's great. Again, don't get me wrong. I
No,
love
right,
Melody of Memory.
But like, you would think it'd be more popular though. But yeah, I don't know the statistics on how much it was.
But regardless, like
yeah.
I think my overall main point is that the ridiculous, the undescribable amounts of money you can make from mobile games is like, Melody Memory DLC would be a drop in the bucket compared to that. Like for much less effort as well is what I'm really getting at here. It's just, you just release a brand new medal or a card, or in this case a 3D model of a statue, and you're like, hey, it's Sora, he does a cool little attack, It's animations we're pulling straight out of Kingdom Hearts 3D, but this time we're charging 3 times the price of the entire game for one animation's worth. Some
Yeah.
of you will buy it. It's like,
And
of
I think
course they're gonna like try and monetize this series as much as they
yeah, but
can.
2D assets, and I think we talked about this before, but like 2D assets compared to like a 3D modeled trophy, like that's a lot more effort.
Yeah, but
And
if
now
you
the
already have
entire
a
game's in
series worth of
3D.
3D models to pull from and you just edit them slightly, like the 2D assets they used in Union Cross were pretty much
Or just the
barely
renders,
any
right?
original ones. Barely any
Yeah.
original ones. It's just, okay, here's all this Ultimania renders. Let's go ahead and grab those. Here's some Nomura art. Let's go ahead and grab that. Like, there were
Right,
a
I guess they wouldn't have to
couple of
redo
stills of
every
3D
trophy.
assets.
They would just have to pose the 3D model and
Yeah, and then maybe add
just
like a little
render it.
bright effect to it or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And even if they do create some
I
new
guess,
custom
yeah.
ones, like, great, do something.
Yeah, well, cause Cloud is one. He's because he wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, I guess he was a statue.
He was a statue, baby. Never forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, how much effort is making a 3D model and posing it compared to, okay, let's make some Melody of Memory DLC? Like, surely you can see
Right,
that.
but if you have you would have the way the charts are created. I feel like they had a tool that created the music. Like they just MIDI'd it, like just piped MIDI through a program they made. Because there's some notes that are off by like a couple milliseconds.
Sure.
So
But
like
still,
I imagine
in the
just be
grand scheme of
typing it
things,
in.
surely, like, not to disparage
No,
the
yeah.
efforts of 3D models or anything, but like, it doesn't even have to be like super high quality. Again, it's going into a mobile phone game, and we've already seen like, again,
Mhm.
it's early, but the image quality isn't exactly super high or anything. It looks fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna look
Well,
fine. On
I
your
mean
phone,
that's
I'm sure.
early.
Doesn't need to be big, but you know, a low poly 3D model of just here's
I mean-
Mickey, here's Sora, he's standing there. That would be,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, I imagine it's
100
gonna
pulls, thank
it's
you.
gonna look better, but oh god, yeah, I forgot about pulling.
it's my entire point. It's like gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Like they're gonna try and make so much money
Do
off
you
it.
think they're
Like
gonna do that again?
100%. Are you kidding me?
I guess all right. I guess I'm so out of the loop on gacha games. I figured they were done.
It's
Like
my
I thought that
entire
was just
point.
like the
It's like they want to monetize the shit out of the series. That's the entire point. Dark Road failed, and they
Yeah.
went, all right, get starting on the next one. I don't care what it's called. You will make a successful 3D, successful gacha game with this series.
Oh, do you
Do it.
think? Okay, yeah. I assumed Missing Link was already.
It's a loving passion project from the beautiful, benevolent hearts at Square Enix who love us and care
No,
about
I just
us every
assumed the
single day.
concept was already in mind, but
I mean, it could well have been,
Yeah.
but like I said, if they wanted to tell this story, I feel
guess,
like you
yeah.
could have worked it in through flashbacks in Dark Road if you really wanted to. Like, Dark Road could have gone on for as long as they wanted it to, as long as it was successful. Could have done whatever they wanted to.
Oh,
That's what I'm getting at here.
okay.
Like, you already
Yeah.
established a Melody of Memory. Mickey's going to go to Scarlet Lake Island to look for something. You could have had the platform of,
Yeah.
hey, Mickey, 2D Mickey goes to 2D Scala in flashbacks or in modern day cutscenes. You do whatever you want to. You just make up some excuse and then off you go. You're telling the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
And then he finds a library of archives and it's like, oh, remember this thing that happened back then? Burp, burp, burp.
Right.
Oops, Dark Road was a complete flop. Scrap it, delete it. We are forcibly shutting this thing down. You
Yeah.
get to work on the next one. I don't care what it's called. Make
Right,
us
you got your
money,
two-
goddammit.
Get your 2 female animators working on this
The
while you're
female now,
while
are they?
everybody else. Didn't Nomura in an interview say
I
like he
don't
made a very
remember.
specific point about them being female
I
for
did-
some reason.
I don't remember.
That's like that's a weird comment, dude. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. No, and I think this actually ties in a little bit because my impression with the 3D model thing was like they kind of resembled more like Street Fighter trophies, right? Like the amount of detail that goes into those.
Smash Bros?
I feel like it's like no, like Street Fighter into like in real life ones. Have you seen those?
No.
Anyway, they basically look like that, right? They have like the little power up, like kind of translucent blue or red or whatever their color is,
Right.
as they're like doing a punch or whatever. So like they're like super detailed like that, and they're like really expensive. So my understanding was like they're making these really high quality assets, right? Because I don't think those are I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's gonna be like the end all be all what we saw, because I feel like that's just dev footage. But maybe that is.
Yeah, that
But
could well be early.
my impression was gonna be like, they're gonna, because right, they never deny. I think they said they were interested in making NFTs. So my thinking behind this was, these are gonna be NFTs that are gonna be purchasable,
Oh boy.
as opposed to, because I feel like, right, if you make it NFTs and not gacha, because right, I kind of forgot about gacha. I assumed they were going full headlong into the whole. All
Wanna
right,
live in
you
your
can buy
world.
this for. Yeah. Well, I mean, but a lot of people don't like NFTs, so like that would be a a pretty big change to drop on people.
This is what
But I mean,
I
yeah,
draw the
yeah,
comparison between. I don't know if you can still see my screen, but the Pokemon Jewel
yep.
figures.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like these. Yeah,
they're
basically these are what I was talking
customized. Sorry,
about.
not customizable, but like posed. They have little effects around them. Just these 3D models. And again, you can pull 3D models from the 3D games that you've already created, put a silly little effect around them. Great. Now they're gacha. Now go ahead and pull for them. Idiots. Like, the Pokemon, you've
Oh, are
seen a
these in
trillion
video
times.
games?
Yeah.
Oh,
And I guess maybe
what?
they've
What's
made
this one
real
from?
version. This is called Pokemon Duel. It's a mobile game. Duel,
Oh, okay.
DUEL. Um,
Interesting. Is this a new game?
no, it's been out for ages, and I don't even know if it's still
Huh.
running. It might have been cancelled already. I remember reading about this. I never played it, but I was just like, oh yeah,
Right.
this is exactly what it feels like to me. It just you start with simple
Yeah,
ones with
this looks
basic
pretty
backgrounds,
similar.
and then you go all the way. Oh, look, legendary Pokemon, and oh, look at this, they're doing cool things. Blah 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 blah. Like,
I mean, but it's cool. Like, I think this is really cool.
yeah, it's
Like,
cool.
it's
It's
a pretty
fine.
big step up from the medals. I feel like fully 3D. You can look at them from different angles and stuff. But again, right, it's all just digital pixels. But I mean,
It's
art is
nothing. It's
art.
garbage, right? It's like I don't know. I'm very
Yeah.
as the guy as the freaking Kingdom Hearts mobile guy. Like I am very against gacha. Like I really don't
Yeah.
care for it at all.
What?
I feel like it's
Damo?
a pox on gaming as a whole.
Yeah. Damo's against. That's so weird.
Yeah,
It's almost like
imagine
you
that.
did like a entirely free to play
Imagine
YouTube channel.
imagine doing that. Yeah,
So is your same stance gonna continue?
100% free
I mean,
to play.
obviously.
Absolutely. Good lord.
I don't even know why I asked. Just figured I'd let you give the obvious answer.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's like every single 3D asset you're gonna be able to like look at in that game. Surely you can just load up Kingdom Hearts 3 and be like, hey, look, I can look at Aqua standing right next to me. Cool, we're fighting alongside her. Like I don't need to have a posed statue of her to use the water attack. That's gonna be
That is a very popular thing, though. I feel like I know so many people that have so many different. Like I have a couple of like pops and what are they called? The Neo arts or something like that.
yeah,
Um,
sure. For me, it's different. It's like yeah, I mean, if it's a real physical thing you can hold in your hand, to me that's different from an item in a video game that will definitely go away the second the servers go down. It's and
yeah,
I guess
true. Like yeah,
I mean
I mean,
I was raised with
Tux
a
is a big
like
testament to that.
I was raised by like a cheapskate of who would refuse to spend money on anything that wasn't gonna last him a trillion years, and
Oh,
but
no, I'm
it's
that
like
way.
I don't know. And yeah, I mean
Yeah.
there is value to spending money on experiences, and if you really enjoy it, I mean who am I to say what how to enjoy your money, but um
When it's predatory, though, that's different. I
yeah.
feel like Kingdom Hearts Union Cross is very predatory.
But I feel when gacha as a whole, I feel like it's
Well, yeah,
explicitly
it's-
designed to make you feel bad. Like there is no
right.
there is no
Only the
scarcity.
colorful
It's
people
100%
can-
artificial scarcity designed
Yeah.
to make you feel bad for not having it right now, and they go out of their way to show you this is what your friends have. Check out all this cool stuff that they have. Why don't you have it? What's wrong with you? Can't you afford it?
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Like, making,
No, and it's well, that's the thing too. Is like people that you and I was talking to Whale about this. Is like people that like it's not the rich people that are spending all their money on these like digital art assets in these gacha games. It's like people that can't afford it. They're like, yeah, I'll just spend a few bucks on this, and it's like no, like this is not good for anybody involved. Like it's just I don't know. It's very frustrating to witness.
and that's the entire idea, right? It's like you get people addicted to it. You'd use every single trick in the
Yeah.
book because it's not illegal yet. Get every single trick in the book to try and get as
Oh,
much
yeah.
money out of people as you possibly can. People that, whether through poor impulse control or they just, or they just are being tricked into it.
Mm-hmm. Right, because was it Belgium or somewhere like banned it, right?
Yeah,
They
I think it's
classified
Belgium. Yeah,
gacha games as gambling.
Union Cross was pulled off the App Store and no longer available in that
Yeah,
region. Yeah, that's right. Good.
which I think, yeah, I mean it's a good thing,
I don't know. I
but
mean, I'm
yeah.
living
I
a
don't know. I
pipe dream, and
really
I think it's going to
enjoyed
happen worldwide. But
what. Oh no, it's definitely, especially America now. That's not gonna happen.
never, no. In Japan,
Um,
especially, there's zero chance. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, Japan is a very, yeah, much focused on that kind of chance game, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
what were you going to say though?
But I don't know. I really like. I made all my friends through Union Cross,
Sure.
like you and the Spikes, and like my integration into the Kingdom Hearts community kind of was through Union Cross. I think, I don't know. I'll always love that game, but I also didn't fall for the the trap of buying things. Even though, right, I would get to events and stuff like that, or like Coliseums, and I'd be like, damn, I'm always like the 30th, or not even 30,000, probably like 100,000th person completing these events, and it's like, man, if only I just had a little bit more power, then I could get better rewards. But then, yeah, like it's
Just
meaningless.
the entire arms race. It's the entire trap,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, just a little bit, just a little squeeze more.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe it'll only cost me a little bit. Oops. Oh, I'm in for a penny.
Yeah.
May as well go in for a pound. Like, oops. Now I'm in. Wow, I spent
No, it really is
$1,000 on
like
a
that.
mobile phone game this week. I didn't need to do that, but hey,
Jeez.
I increased my ranking in the Union Cross Coliseum by a couple thousand places. Great. Wow. I don't know. Like I can
No,
rant
and
about
it is
gacha
like that,
endlessly,
yeah.
and not that I can talk either, because I mean I traded time. Like I traded time instead of money,
Yeah.
and for a lot of people, their dollars were a lot less valuable than their time. So again, I'm not. Oh, I'm correct about this
Fair
entirely.
enough.
Not at
Yeah.
all. Like, and I guess part of that was because I was making a channel about it for a while, but I did stop making videos and I kept playing. So again, I'm not.
There's no profit
I
now.
still
Right?
fell. I still fell into the whole trap. I just didn't give it money. I gave it time instead. But
Yeah.
um,
Either time or money, I guess. Yeah. Or like it's either one or the other,
yeah, or both.
or both. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, again, I can rant
So
about gacha endlessly. But yeah, missing link. I don't know.
Missing Link,
In
another gacha game.
the
which-
form that it's going to be, I mean, I'm happy with it. That's whatever it's ended up, whatever it may have. I could be 100% wrong. I could be completely out of my mind by thinking that it wasn't going to exist, and then Dark Road flopped, and they started looking, okay, forget this entire app. Let's go ahead and make a new one. I could be so out of my mind, but
Nah, I don't think so.
I feel like I'm at least
I mean-
halfway there.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think what'll happen is they'll do both. I think they'll have the gacha element, and then I think they'll have the NFTs brought in at a later date, because I started playing Ni no Kuni and then I
Mm.
stopped because I don't know, it's too big of a game for me. But right, they didn't have any NFTs at first, and now they do apparently, or maybe they did, like they had like this weird currency that you can earn, but and then you like convert it into a different kind of thing. It's this weird mechanic, but basically it's just NFTs in the game.
And you're
feel
talking
like
about a Ni
companies
no
don't really-
Kuni mobile app right now, right?
Yeah, I think it was like called Cross Worlds or something like that. Cross something. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget that it was a thing before the mobile game. I think you're like the third person that said that to me. I'm like, oh yeah, right. It was a PlayStation game, or I don't know, maybe console game. I don't know.
The original was on PS3, I know that, and I think the sequel was on the PS4 and Xbox equivalent hardware.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that it's sort of my point, right? Like, it's not a huge franchise, but it has a mobile game of which you are encouraged to
Yeah.
NFTs and spend
Dude,
money on.
oh,
Like,
the money spending in that game is
yeah,
I would log in and an instant like 35, $70, $120 on these bundles.
yep.
And I feel like they didn't even like give you some food and maybe like some batteries for your mount, and it's like, it's not worth it, right? Like, I'm not crazy, right? Like, am I crazy? I don't know. It was really strange. It was a really strange experience, honestly.
So I'm saying, like, again, I keep harping on about it, but surely the higher ups at Square Enix are salivating over the idea that, hey, we have this Disney and hugely popular Kingdom Hearts franchise.
Yeah.
We can exploit the shit out of it. Why aren't we doing that right now? Why don't we have 4 different apps going concurrently? all of which, like freaking Dragon Ball has two. Like Dragon Ball's got
Yeah.
Dokkan and Legends, whatever it is. Like
Wait,
constantly
that one's still
making,
going?
yeah, constantly making insane money. Like constantly topping the App Store for the amount of money spent on it each week. And I go, thank you for
Jeez.
making us again billionaires beyond our wildest means. Have some stones here. Like
I don't understand that. How is that money getting generated? Like,
because people keep friggin' they just
right,
whether
but
it's nostalgia or whatever it is, they're gonna buy their 80th Goku card. They're gonna do it. Oh wow,
right. I don't
you
know.
get to see an
I guess,
animation 50 times. The gameplay is like pick a color. There isn't even any gameplay. It's just ridiculous.
I guess for me, right? Because I work all the time, and I feel like I have like no money to spend on anything. So it's like the fact that these people, or like these apps, are just making so much money. I'm like, where's all that? Where's all that money coming from? Like, I'm really confused about that part of the pyramid scheme, or not even pyramid scheme, just
I mean,
the app scheme.
huge install base. Like again, like Dragon Ball is a ridiculously popular franchise. You know, even if
Yeah.
the average person doesn't spend heaps, then you have the really, 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 really big spenders that are spending on tons.
Right.
Again,
The
like this,
whales.
especially once you normalize it as well. Like I think they tried it with VIP. It's like, oh yeah, just get your weekly
Yeah.
VIP. It's only a measly, $22 a month, a week or whatever. That's the
I know,
standard.
it's
That's
22
the
a week,
average
wasn't
buy-in
it? Yeah.
price. But the real, Jewel Box E over here, Jewel Box F. Oh, that's for the the
That's
super
right.
important
Cause
guys.
you could only buy those once though, right?
No.
Or could you buy them? There's one that you can only buy once, right?
I mean, maybe I don't like a starting one. Maybe potentially, I don't know.
I feel like the Jewel Box E or F was like a lot of money, but you could only buy it once.
No, no.
Okay.
There was one that gave you like almost 15,000 jewels that you could buy on repeat.
Oh, only 15, right? That's only what, 5 pulls.
5 pulls, not even. Yeah, not even.
Right, like I have all these good memories of King. I must have blocked out all the money scheming. Man.
Goodness. All right, we could do this all day, but yeah, I'm gonna drag it
Yeah.
back to the rest of the updated scenes. There were a few other mentions of, various different, parts, especially about the Child of Destiny. Like Xehanort now like explicitly refers to himself as the Child of Destiny, at one point, and then is considering that it might be Ven instead.
Ventus, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I sort of inferred that from context anyway. Like, I've got that video talking about the ending where it's the idea that Xehanort was the Child of Destiny probably was a part of his whole life, right? Like, if he still thinks that he is the destined one that's meant to do all these things. And then,
Well, okay. Yep.
but I don't know, they decided to make it more explicit, which, sure, I don't really have a problem with it, I suppose.
I think, yeah. Well, I guess my confusion with the intro, not to go too far back, but right, not many people are gonna see that. So like, why change? Like,
the intro,
the only reason Whale saw it is because she never played it, right? Like, who's gonna go back to the beginning and watch it again? I guess.
I only
Like,
did
it
just for
seems like
checking.
such a-
It was like, okay, let me see if the original's still there. And that's why I messaged you. I was like, hey, can you check if...
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, even to your point, I never even looked once the final cutscenes came out. I was going to re-record them all once this update dropped.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously, like, cutting the player out. I don't know.
Which I guess to me, right? I guess why I think it's not, Xehanort, we were the player, is I think it's making it more generic, right? Instead of a male character, they're just giving us the scenes that we played through. But right, even like this scene, it's more the fact that we're still in the scene, but it's just making it less generic, or it's making it more generic. It's not just the kid in yellow.
Yeah. I mean, which goes to the idea that, hey, you should give a shit about Missing Link because it's you. It's
That's
still going to
actually
be
your
you.
player.
It's
Yeah.
not just random dude who doesn't matter anymore because now he's Xehanort. It's it's you. Look, you're off screen. It's still you, even though your skin color doesn't change.
Yeah.
Hey, look, white guy, it's you. I don't know.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, we didn't even really touch on it, but yeah, they basically took the main difference is that you no longer see player at all, except for them reaching their hand up. You see their hand and their arm.
Yep. Yep.
And the idea is that, yeah, now there's less of a default appearance being used, so that,
Which I'm glad they changed that. Yeah.
yeah, so you can imprint on it more and you can make it feel like it's more of your character going through the journey instead of just who's this random default guy that I saw once at the very, very start of the game. I don't even think they were wearing yellow. I don't think their initial option is to wear yellow.
I think it was blue, right?
I can't remember. But I mean, I guess you also kind of see them in back cover as well. It's like Charity says, this is where your story began. And there's a player holding their Keyblade straight to the sky, which is meant to be you as well. But they're definitely not in yellow, that character.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's blue. It doesn't matter.
I think it's blue in back cover, yeah. But yeah, not... Which is a good change. I'm fully on board with it. Even my stupid theory aside, I'm fully on board with making it feel, more personal to you. I guess it's nice that they tied in the original Disney worlds, I suppose, a bit more.
Yeah.
But it does sort of ruin the whole Xehanort crying in exactly the same pose that he was when...
Yeah, it does get rid of that, right? Like, that is very on the nose, maybe?
Yeah, in hindsight.
I don't know. I'm not on board yet, but I see where you're getting at.
You're coming around.
I'm not coming around. I'm still firmly
I'm gonna get you, buddy.
I'll
I'll get you soon.
I think the when you mentioned the whole you could name Xehanort, when I remembered that, I remember distinctly being like, yeah, that was weird. So maybe a little bit more on board, but yeah.
It's funny, I made a similar comment on YouTube the other day when the new cutscenes came out, and a lot of people actually disagreed with me, which is cool. I'm more than happy to do that, but I don't know. I think I spent like half an hour arguing my case at this point. I don't want to keep going over it, but
let's go. Let's keep going.
So we got the music update for any single person that had a save file and can see that, but yeah. And then like I said, Xehanort refers to himself explicitly as the Child of Destiny in the updated cutscene, which is interesting.
Because same as you, I assumed because the Kingdom Hearts 3 ending to me makes way more sense if he thinks he's the Child of Destiny.
Yeah, and if he's carried that with him his entire life.
Yeah, like right. Anyway, you guys can go back to the first episode where we talked about that. I'm not gonna bring it up again. But I guess then that does kind of call into question why he does, he mentor Ventus.
I mean, I guess at this point in his life,
maybe... Oh, right, he's could be seeking darkness, right?
Yeah, so the original quote was, for those that aren't seeing it right now, so the original quote, "My first mentor taught me that the one inscribed in the book, the one chosen to be a dark vessel, can connect their heart to others and feel what they feel." So, I mean, yeah, Ven could connect his heart to others and feel what they felt, I guess. Where he, at the very least, connected his heart to Sora's, right? It was he inhabited Sora's heart, but it's still, I would call it a connection. I don't know if Ven has explicitly been able to feel what others have felt in the past. Maybe you can help me with that, but...
I don't...
I mean, aside from just being, not to the degree that Sora has, for sure.
Can't remember him ever being like an empath, to the level of Xehanort and Sora.
No, I don't. Yeah,
the whole dark vessel I feel like could allude to Ventus here, but maybe that's why they changed it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because Sora ends up harboring Ven, who harbors the darkness, right? So in a roundabout way, Sora is harboring it. He's not chosen to be a dark vet. Well, he is. I guess in Dread Distance, he is chosen to be a dark vessel. It didn't work, but he was chosen to be a dark vessel.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And that's even Master Xehanort that states that.
Right. Huh. Which is funny that he would end up completing that loop within himself, if that is how you read the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the new line is... Come on, past me. Record faster. My first mentor taught me of the Child of Destiny who can connect their heart to others and feel what they feel. So they kind of drop the whole being a vessel for darkness thing.
I wonder. Yeah, yeah.
It's a
Continue.
strange kind of change to make. I don't know. I guess I should probably refer back to the original Japanese, which I haven't done and I'm not going to do now, but refer back to that and be like, okay, what was the original intention there? And
Right.
did the original line sort of betray that intention, and maybe that's why they changed it?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because yeah, then he later says to Ericus that he thinks he may be the one,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is then changed into I think he may be the child of
I'm
destiny,
right.
which is
Exactly.
weird because that implies that Ericus also knows what the child of destiny is.
Well, I think they kind of play around that, right? I think from Kingdom Hearts 3, when young, they're both young Xehanort and young Ericus, they're like chatting about the past, and Xehanort's kind of pressing him on that information, being like, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So like I feel like at this point, right, they would both
You can
understand
drop
that.
the facade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. And again, if it's written in the Book of Prophecies, then I don't know. I guess they
Yeah.
could have a reason to have known about it, but like, it's strange that they just straight up know what the Book of Prophecies is. Like, I
Well, I imagine Odin would have. Does Odin talk about that? Yeah.
Odin knows
Well,
about it, yeah. And
yeah.
like
So
they say that even in Dark Red episode 1, they talk about the fact that there's Heartless here and that they shouldn't be because they only appeared in the past, in Union Cross times because of the power of the Book of Prophecies, blah 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 blah. But I don't know.
yeah.
I would
Wait,
like to
wasn't
know how
did
Xehanort gets to read it because even in Kingdom Hearts 3, it sounds like he kind of has
uh
the whole like this is not what was written is like death quote.
you, fair enough. Yeah. Because I was gonna say it doesn't. I don't know if it would make more sense with how he knows what's gonna happen, right? But I feel like they've made the argument that he's time traveled, so like it's been etched, like his destiny. He knows what to do as young Xehanort because he's been to the future, and that's now been etched into his heart.
Yeah.
Isn't that what he says in the Keyblade Graveyard? Like he
Yeah, well,
says something
young
like,
Xehanort's path is basically unavoidable because yeah, it's gone to the future, and even if he can't remember it, it's still etched within him. He'll still complete the steps to get himself
yeah,
back to that point.
which I think you pointed out maybe whenever we were talking last about the whole scene with Woody and how he's like calling him out, and then as Sora's going to attack young Xehanort,
Find
like
the
he
heart's
like
joined to yours.
yeah, which is such a I think if you I don't know, you gave a great explanation about that line, but I feel like we already talked about that in the previous episode, but I could be wrong. I don't
One
remember.
previous episode. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a strange line for sure.
It's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something we'll keep in mind going forward, but it's an interesting change to make.
Mm.
And then yeah, again, it's like reflected when, like I said, he talks to Xehanort, talks to Ericus, and yeah, calls him explicitly the child of destiny, as opposed to just making it more subtle and being he could be the one. And it's I don't know. Do you think that?
I don't like that. I don't like that change. I
Yeah,
mean, it gives more context to why he chose Ventus, but I feel like unless he's playing Ericus here, but it doesn't give me that vibe
no,
because it to me it makes more sense to me that he sought out darkness that was in Ventus, like he was drawn to that place to unleash the ancient darkness that was in Ventus, as opposed to him thinking he was the child of destiny. Because then Cage 3 doesn't make that much, unless right, maybe he has like, he's not 100% sure that he is the child of destiny, and then he raises Ventus and then it fails, and he's like, okay, wait, maybe I am the child of destiny. I could get behind that.
he comes back around to the idea that it's him. Like he
Yeah,
wavers and thinks that it's Ven for a little while, but then comes back around to thinking that it's himself.
yeah, no, I think that's what
Yeah,
I
I
think.
could
Because
see that because at this point he hasn't gone
Cage,
through with his
yeah,
plan yet. He hasn't divided himself into 13. He hasn't done any of this stuff yet. He's still
right,
yeah.
yeah, Because yeah, I feel like the KH3 ending makes a lot of sense if he thinks he's the child of destiny. And I kind of actually, I think I like it a bit more that he is still in this pursuit of knowledge, like right, he's still in this pursuit of finding the child of destiny, and like kind of guiding them, and then being like, oh, I am the one. I have to do this. Like this is my destiny, and I think I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because all the actions of like future Xehanort, or this Xehanort we're looking at right here, in Dark Road at least, seem very like protective of Ven, and he only came across him in the first place because he asked this magic mirror about, oh, where are my friends, and he ended up finding one.
Yeah, it puts his actions in a whole new light, which, you know, you can call it a retcon. I think it is definitely a retcon.
It's definitely a retcon, yeah. But
he seems still really evil.
But by Sleep, he is like finger wagglingly evil, and he's just cackling in his
like
darkness
this,
the entire time. But
I like this. Yeah, I like the new light that this gives, or I guess new perspective it gives it.
I'd like it. Yeah, I do like it quite a lot. And again, I think we talked about this to death last time, but I feel like your experience of Kingdom Hearts 3 is better for having watched this first.
Yes, I
don't know, you disagree.
disagree. Yeah, we won't get into that. You guys can watch episode 0 for that. But actually, this is I did want to bring up something because I have had this idea of perception, and actually a lot of Zora, Sora, like all these people are, their experiences or like their perception of things is different than what's, actually like Sora seeing Yozora, like that's a perception thing. Sora going into the chain of memories or in Castle Oblivion and seeing all these different worlds of memories, that's like his perception, because in Recoded we see, Sora is actually just looking at panes of glass on these different walls or whatever. Like it's all like perception is a really key element, even in Days, right? Roxas and Xion are both fighting an invisible, I think, but it's actually each other,
right?
But it's like, they're perceiving this weird thing. So I could get behind like, the perception of Xehanort is just our perception as the player, or as the different characters are perceiving him, and that could be totally off, like, right? That might not actually be what he's like, I don't know, actually perceiving. And like Dark Road is like his perception of his actions, maybe. Like, I don't know. It's definitely like Kingdom Hearts likes to play with the perception of things.
It does, and I'm trying to find the line for it now, but I mean, Luxine says as much to Sora, that like Elsa's power could be either light or darkness. It really is up to her, and it's
right
people's view on it that is the important part here. It doesn't really.
Yeah. Well, even in Dark Road, I think they, like
they explicitly say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
These worlds are able to keep order using darkness to rule. It doesn't matter what we think. This is how this world keeps order.
Yeah. It's like, who are we to say what's right and wrong? Yeah. Nah. Very, very interesting. But I really want to do a video about the whole like perceiving in Kingdom Hearts, because I think even the Super Spaghetti Bros on their podcast, the Ansem Report podcast, the longest running Kingdom Hearts podcast, I'm re-listening to their podcast now, and they were talking about, in all these different worlds, did they perceive Donald and Goofy as a duck and a dog? And it's like, I never even thought about that. I think they brought up a couple scenes that I can't recall now. I think it's early episodes, like episode 9 or 10, and it's like, they say certain things, and it's like, that's weird. Like, maybe people don't see Donald and Goofy as a dog and a duck or whatever. Yeah.
Especially for a series about trying to keep world order, and
that's exactly what they were saying, right? Even in this, especially in this world, right?
Like Sora sees them as them because that's the memories he has of them, but all these new people wouldn't. Yeah, I could get around that.
Yeah. Well, even Sora's like, can't you like generate me a coat because it's freezing here? And Donald's like, that's not how it works. And it's like, okay, so there's an order of how this works. Like there is some reason or reasoning behind.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. Yeah, it's gonna be, especially like you said with Yozora, that definitely feels like the direction we're heading in, right? And
Yeah.
the truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. That I don't know. I don't know.
So believe it and dive in or something, right?
Well, yeah, that's the Master Master's quote, and then yeah, what you're talking about is the Kingdom Hearts 3 initial trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's plenty of evidence that could be a theme going forward, which I'm
I'm excited.
pretty
I'm
keen
really
on.
excited for the future.
Me too. Yeah, and I've just spent half an hour shitting on Missing Link and being gacha, but I am actually very excited for it from a lore point of view,
I'm so
and
excited for Missing Link.
honestly from a gameplay point of view as well. Just real quick, we'll just go
Yeah.
over the final cutscenes as well. So
Yeah. Sorry.
the idea that no, sorry, the idea that the change that when Xehanort attempts to
Yeah.
purify Boulder first, and then just go straight for the kill shot.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on the change in this scene?
I like it a lot. I still felt like he was conflicted because he was holding the Keyblade up in the air. He was conflicted,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I mean, I didn't necessarily need to see the Keyblade glowing with light to be like, okay, he
Mhm.
was going to purify it, and then he thought, no, I'll see again. I mean, I still take the same idea from the scene, which is that he was considering what he had to do, and then decided
Yeah.
ultimately decided to strike him down.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
got
good.
the same vibe from both of them, but I do like that they made it a bit more clear, I guess. Like, right, his first thought wasn't to murder him; it was to purify him, or maybe it was to murder him with light, but I don't think so. I think he was
No,
gonna
I
try
think
to
it was, yeah,
draw the darkness out. Yeah.
yeah. And then the final one, they actually changed a decent amount of the finale. This last, very very last part.
Yeah.
Like they did was zoom in on his face at the very very end, after he sort of fades
Yeah.
away, which is taken away. They removed that. They put the zoom in a lot earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just quite. I don't know.
Well, he like not rushes, but like I think in the new cutscene, he is a bit more thoughtful about murdering him. Like I think he thinks right for a second before, like as opposed to the original where it's kind of just like it's really fast, or it happens really quickly.
Yeah, I think once you click at a certain point, it's like totally out of your control as well. Even with the text box coming on screen, you don't have a choice to disable it. I'll see if I can
Ah.
show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, saying its face is different through all this. Okay, yeah, and then the zoom in happens there.
And then the zoom in. Yeah.
Which I guess is more into parallel with, the camera zooms in on Boulder, and then it zooms in on Xehanort as a response.
Right. It is a lot more dynamic than just the still frame, or not the still frame, but the still shot from the original.
Yeah, so we can slowly walk forward.
Yeah. It is a lot more somber. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a great change.
I liked it. Yeah.
It's not a huge one or that impacts the entire game or anything, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think I feel like both of these changes, right? The first one I feel like is not as needed. I feel like this one, it captures the moment a lot better.
I think
like
so.
It
Yes.
makes, yeah. And I think it gives you even, because, right, I feel like this gave Xehanort a much needed character background. Like, I don't know. I've always loved young Xehanort, but I love him even more now because, I don't know, just all the stuff he had to go through. Like, it really, I feel like, really captures that, like, moment of, wow, I have to do this. Like, there's no other choice.
Because his first taste of, he's not happy about it, but it's something that he has to do, right? It's up to him.
Yeah.
He's the only one that can do this in this moment. For whatever reason, Ericus can't do it. I mean, he's still kind of recovering from being attacked, but it's on him right now. He is the one that must save the world from darkness. Probably, again,
Yeah.
and he, considers his position. We're reading this from the idea that he still thinks he's the child of destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think, Dark Road on it in its entirety, I think was great. But yeah, the finale I think is even better now. Again, they're welcome changes, those two end ones for sure. That the other two where they explicitly talk about being the child of destiny, I guess I'd have to read the original Japanese to make more of a decision on that. But I could maybe take them or leave them. Maybe it's a case of like, uh, maybe it's a case of they're worried that people weren't getting the intention and didn't trust people to watch it through a second time like they would potentially with another Kingdom Hearts game where you can actually replay it and get the cutscenes again.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we need to make it more explicit here, what we're talking about. There's not, fiends like us that are going to rewatch mobile game cutscenes endlessly.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like, okay, let's make it more explicit here. People, and again, we're kind of in a world where you can have instant feedback from your audience, right? So if they're reading online and seeing that people aren't getting the response that they're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're not taking it the way we want them to take it. Let's change it up a little bit.
Which I will agree is a benefit of DLC or patches. But man, I feel like patches did more of a disservice than a not a disservice, but it definitely has made gaming or game releases a bit more chalked when they were first released.
It's an entirely different landscape when you don't have to press that disc and know that what's on the disc is the final.
Yeah.
If you can press the disc,
Which
but
is,
be
I mean,
already
which
working
is
on the day
good.
zero patch, then it's different.
Yeah. The fact that they're they're already working on day one patches and stuff like that. It's like, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Anyways, not the discussion we're having.
Yeah, and then the final change, at least that's been noticed so far, essentially instead of saying that Ephema is the great-great-grandfather of Xehanort, they instead call it that someone is like they say someone in your bloodline was a renowned Keyblade wielder.
Right,
which is
kind of ties in
extremely welcome. I don't know. I really had a problem with there only being 5 generations between Ephema and Xehanort. I felt like that was like way too soon.
I don't know if it's that. I guess it's now up in the air how long it is.
Yes, which I suppose is true. It could still be great great grandfather. They just didn't want to say it. They didn't want to say it as explicitly, I suppose.
I'm pretty sure in an interview Nomura says like great great grandfather as well.
But that could be I don't know one of the translations to match what's in the game. Like again, with all due respect to translators, I don't know. I always take translated interviews with a pretty heaping grain of salt.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Helping of salt, I should say.
I usually if it's in an interview, I'm like, okay, that's cool to know, and then like it's not confirmed for me until like I see it in like an official game.
Yeah, even if it comes from Nomura's mouth himself, I always feel like interviews are secondary, like or even tertiary canon to, like the game always and will forever override whatever is said in an interview.
Even in a 5.0.1 patch. Now 5.0 is outdated.
I guess it is, which is crazy, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people talk about like, hey, you shouldn't take it so literally, but it's hard not to when he says explicitly great great grandfather, not like great 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 great, like he's not just trailing on.
Yeah,
I don't know. I still read this as pretty explicitly. There are 5 generations between you and that man, which is a short amount of time. I mean,
but I mean, time works differently for sure. So like, they can always rely on that now.
Yeah, I mean that's a crutch they can always pull. But I mean, if Xehanort was only taken from Scala and had lived there his entire life, and Ephema's entire bloodline had lived there their entire life, then no matter what, it's only going to be about, maybe my definition of a generation is wrong, but like
mine's definitely wrong.
Grandfather implies to me that, I mean, when do people have kids? Somewhere between, 20s and 30s, right? So the window isn't huge. It's,
But I mean, this is kind of our first introduction. Not our first, but like, like in KH1 we had Sora's mom, but like I feel like after that, parents are very non-present in the image.
100%.
So like this is kind of like bringing that back into question, like,
Yeah, it's interesting. Like why now is the time where bloodlines all of a sudden matter.
Yeah.
I do. We're finding out about someone like either Sora or Riku or Kairi's parentage, right? Like there's no way we're getting around that in Missing Link.
100%. It has to be Kairi's.
So you think Kairi's grandmother will be, I mean, someone that we meet in Missing Link, like as a probably protagonist aged character at that point. Like,
Actually, no, it might be Sora and Riku, right? Because um, our player had to learn about this Destiny Islands from someone, right? So I imagine maybe the same people came to the, you know, his descendants or that people group might have just migrated to Destiny Islands
well, he knows about
as
the
opposed to
Destiny Islands
Kyrie.
from the Book of Prophecies, right? Like, the Child of Destiny will hail from the Isles of Destiny. So, again, just devil's argumenting your point because I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's possible that, oh, we've heard about this world. Let's go there and establish
Let's go. Right.
a shack,
Well, let's go
even
and
though
find it.
there's a
Well,
society just
right.
over the pond that has skulls and everything, and there's Final Fantasy characters there. But let's ignore that just for a minute. Let's pretend that doesn't happen.
Oh, you're saying the specific island. Okay.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
because
it's not like this mythical, isolated place. Like, it's still just from its point of view, a pretty regular world. And I guess from every
right.
other world's point of view, a pretty regular world. But now all of a sudden, it's the birthplace of someone quite important.
Right. Right, and I think you touched upon this either last time or in a different discussion of how, like, you know, young Xehanort or baby Xehanort is like, you know, he's not actually born here, he's brought here, so it is a difference. Whereas, you know, it kind of seems like Sora and Riku were born there, not
Right.
Kairi because she came in
From Radiant Garden,
from
yeah.
Radiant Garden. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think player is trying to make Xehanort fit the image of the Child of Destiny, even if he doesn't explicitly
Which, wow, or
made it. But he obviously
did
does share a
something
lot of
evil.
traits with Sora.
Yeah, and it's no wonder they. And no, okay, and this is my other thing too, right? I swear that the Master of Masters is manipulating this entire. Like, I feel like he
Oh,
had, and right, I think you agree. But I'm just
100%.
putting it out there, right? Like, the fact that player or the player character thinks so much, like, it's kind of guided by the book so much to think that Xehanort is the, you know, this child of destiny. It's
Right.
like, it can't be not intentional. Like, that has to be manipulated. And right, he's the Master of Masters, so obviously he's controlling everything. You know, how many Book of Prophecies does he actually have? Like 80, and he's just showing different ones to different people.
And that's the thing, right? I
Um,
mean, if there's only like one copy given to the Union Leaders, for example, or there's 5 potentially different ones given to the Foretellers, given that they aren't allowed to talk to each other, like, you have this knowledge of events
oh, and
of
you
the
even have
future.
the missing book. Well, I feel like they collaborate, right? I feel like they, in the first scene where they're around the table, and I think they have Charity on the table.
And Envy's like, yeah, this isn't in my book either.
Yeah, they all kind of collaborate or corroborate what's
Sure.
in the book.
Yeah, sure.
And then Gula's like, well, I had the page that's not in our books, so
Which he keeps to
so
himself.
what other books? Or yeah, what other pages are not in books? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, it does feel like the Master of Masters. I don't know. The way I still read his entire plan is that we're gonna trap 7 of these darknesses now, and we're gonna blast a bunch more into the future where I guess this Child of Destiny can take care of things for us. I don't know.
I think his whole motivation, right? I think he's trying to end darkness, right? I think his other motivation is to get back to Kingdom Hearts, or like back to quote unquote reality, or back to wherever Kingdom Hearts is.
Like back to life,
Because
back to reality.
yeah, because
Sorry, I'm singing a song. Don't worry, ignore me.
now you're good. But I feel like right, Sora got to unreality,
Yeah.
and the Master of Masters is there. That's no coincidence. Like, I feel like the Master of Masters is making it so that Riku has to bring Sora back, or he's like making connections to that world, right? Because the only reason Riku was able to get over there is because the unnamed star was there for him to make a connection to unreality.
Yeah.
So it's like now he has a connection back to Kingdom Hearts. I don't know. It's definitely like, I feel like he wrote the Book of Prophecies to make all this happen so that he could either, you know, do whatever he needed to do, get sent or banished to the unreality, and then now he's hopping a train back with Sora or something, right? Like, there's a reason he brought Sora there or made events happen so that Sora ends up there.
Yeah, I think I
I
think I
could be
agree
wrong.
with that.
I don't know.
No, I think I do. Maybe not like exactly,
Explicitly. Yeah.
but in a roundabout way, yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, it's the line we got from Union Cross, right? That he's talking to darkness and talking about that a world he can't even conceive. And if we do take that truthfully, then he's looked into the future and been fascinated with this thing that he's seen. um,
Right.
which I mean it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but he will now things will now play out in a way that gets him to that point, whether he himself was banished or I don't I don't think he's able to travel freely. I don't get that impression. Um,
Well, I feel like
but if he's like followed Sora across or whatever.
yeah. Well, I think we discussed it, right? And this is going like probably like I don't know, maybe over a year when we had this discussion of Sora's there, the Master of Masters is there, and I feel like Ava's gonna be there. This might change now with the whole like who's like who's
Subject X.
yeah, Subject X. But I think my theory for a while was that Ava also abused the power of waking and was sent to unreality
Right.
because like her demeanor in the end of Union Cross is so starkly different to that of any other instance I feel like we see her in, like especially in
Yeah.
back cover.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And like that would make sense why she was coming back after fighting Lucio to get all those events in place and then get jetted off to unreality because she messed with time or whatever. I don't know. So many rabbit holes.
Yeah, it's a fun rabbit hole to go down. I feel like I guess maybe the Union Cross ending that reveals that okay, a darkness basically takes a hold of every single foreteller at some point, and it's kind of trapped there. But that
Right.
might go a little bit of the way to explaining their demeanor change because like era changes
Yeah.
quite rapidly as well, right? Literally the last time we see him in back cover, he's like, "Hey, my buddy, you said, how you going?" Like, "Oh yeah, you're my best pal. You guys just fought throughout the entire town, but you're such a good light. You're a good pal to me." And
And
then
yeah.
the next time we see him chronologically, he's like, "You piece of crap," has said, "You're trying to fight kids in the middle of the town square. I'm gonna kill you. You can't kill me. I'm gonna kill you." Blah, blah, blah. And like
Yeah.
then they're all fighting each other. I don't know.
Well, that also goes into. I was actually the first three or not first three, but the videos I was doing about like world lines and dream worlds and datascapes, all was kind of coming to this culmination of a video about those scenes in particular.
Hmm.
Because I feel like right, we have all the different keyblades in that graveyard, and none of them match, or some of them match, but a lot of them don't match the keyblades that are there. So it's like I've always thought that we're seeing two different world lines, especially with like back cover, because it's like their whole. I feel like it feels like they kind of work things out, but I mean not they don't work things out, but like it feels really different to the ending of Union Cross, where like even the keyblades are different now in our Kingdom Hearts universe, like Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and Kingdom Hearts 3, and all those keyblades are like different from the ones that the kids used in that war. But I don't know.
Yeah. I guess I would like to see your video and theory on it, but I sort of hand wave that as going like, because there's like Fenrir, there's like Lady Luck, there's a few that are very very similar to ones that we end up using in Kingdom Hearts Key and Union Cross, and I sort of hand wave the rest and go like, oh yeah, there's some like prototype designs or other
Right.
wheelers that we don't end up getting to see that maybe went on a different journey and ended up with different keys, blah 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 blah. Like, then I just kind of go,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
but
but I'm
right,
not to
one was
this.
made. No, yeah,
You going?
fair enough. But like Key was made after Birth by Sleep, right?
Yeah,
I'm saying that correct.
yeah.
So like the fact that they knew that and then used different keyblades, right? Couldn't they have just made the same keyblade, like did something to make the keyblades the same?
Um, I don't know, like, because you actually gain a Keyblade from, forming a connection with the people in that world, right? So they go ahead and they, like, we get Lady Luck again because they didn't want to design a new Keyblade and they send us off to a Dwarf Woodlands, Wonderland again. And so
Mm-hmm.
we get Lady Luck now. And again, I don't think there are any new Keyblade designs in Key and Union
And
Cross.
Key,
I don't
yeah.
think so. No, nah. They either are from Days or from Birth by Sleep or from obviously
Right. Yeah.
earlier Kingdom Hearts games, but there aren't any new ones. You know, again, they didn't want to design any new ones, I'm sure, when they could just
Well, but they
reuse
didn't
old
have to
ones.
design them, right? Because they're already keyblades in the graveyard.
Yeah, I
from
feel
Birth by
like
Sleep.
some of the ones you're talking about are just very, very, very simple designs. They're just and they may have like
Yeah.
similarities to older ones, but there are some literally, like I think
Yeah, there are a couple that are the same. I think you were right about Fenrir.
it's Fenrir.
I think
At
there's
least.
one from Cage
Like
2.
Lionheart,
Like
maybe
the
whatever maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Is Lionheart there?
I forget.
Yeah, I forget. I'm pretty sure Fenrir's there though,
Yeah. I don't know.
because like the taped blade is on there. I feel like I could be, yeah, but I don't know. Anyways, I always thought that was weird that they had the differences, because right, you did the scene twice, once in Key and one again in Union Cross, so it's like could have updated that, but they didn't. Why didn't they? Why is it? I don't
Just
know.
I don't know. Again, I feel like just creating extra assets when you don't really
Or
just to match Birth by Sleep. It seems like.
well, there's so many
Yeah.
generations too. Maybe there's a different Keyblade War that happens in the same spot.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I've been stuck on those Keyblades for a while.
Okay. Look
Doesn't
forward.
make sense. I'm the guy with the that is it. I can't remember what it's
Pepe
called.
Sylvia,
Yeah. Which one?
the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Pepe Sylvia.
When he's like, it's like it makes sense. I swear.
You should watch Sunny. Sunny's a good show. It's good fun.
I should watch that. Yeah.
It's good. All right. So yeah, that was basically the final change. Was that yeah, we're making it less defined, and we're talking about now. It's yeah that the bloodline. You share a bloodline with
Yeah.
a renowned Keyblade wielder instead of that your great great grandfather was a renowned Keyblade
Yeah.
wielder. And again, I think it's a welcome change, just for
Yeah,
timeline
I agree.
purposes, and it makes yeah, I don't know. If does feel like 150 years just as an average feels again way too short.
It does feel pretty short. I wouldn't put it out of the question that that's the timing, but I do like that they've made it a bit more up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, as when I said at the top, like yeah, it could still be great great grandfather. They just wanted to make it like less clear or less
Yeah.
set in stone right now. But to me, I hope that they don't. I hope they extend it a lot further.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. Also, that kind of does take us into Missing Link itself. Like this has all done a lot of work to preempt Missing Link and get me particularly very excited for it. And I know a lot of people as well.
Oh yeah.
And sort of come back to my point, like, you know, the mobile games were never really seen as this uber popular thing until basically they were coming to an end or ended. Like Key kind of started weak, where it didn't seem connected. Again, people for whatever reason thought that it wasn't connected to the overall story.
Yeah.
They were just
yeah.
content with thinking it was this weird little side adventure with 2D assets and Disney worlds, and then, you know, a million missions in, we fight Master Ava. And then in Union Cross, I think it's like 400 missions in, we actually fight Master Ava. It's a ridiculous amount.
It's a lot. Yeah.
So they didn't really put their foot forward strong in terms of getting people invested and sticking around. But, you know, Union Cross finished extremely strong. Kingdom Hearts 3 obviously referred back to literally Union Cross in one of its more climactic moments of the entire thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Which was a really cool scene. Yeah.
Melody Memory ends with talking about Mickey having to go to Scarlet Red Kylum. You know, obviously Union Cross itself leads into Dark Road, which now, I don't know, people seem very excited and have their eyes on the mobile games, which I think again is not an accident. And now here comes Missing Link to capitalize on that. A completely brand new, fresh start with a player that, oh, I missed my chance to play Union Cross. I wish I played it. Hey, guess what? Now's your chance. Now you can make your own character with 3D assets, and there's going to be gacha out all the hell. Customize your appearance.
Maybe.
Get it. Okay. Yeah, sure thing, pal.
Got my rose tinted glasses.
All right, buddy.
Nah.
And then, yeah, we're going to be able to have essentially your player back again, living out their second lifetime. I think it's very, very smart and not even close to an accident. But yeah,
definitely not. Yeah.
I'll just pull it up now, but
yeah, this intro is really cool.
the intro is very cool. I'm just gonna start it again.
I think I missed it, but the that very beginning, the unwritten era. I think me and you started to discuss this, and I'm like, wait, can't stop talking about this. But find it really, especially because we were just talking about the Book of Prophecies. Maybe how many different ones are there, and like the missing pages, and then it's very explicit. I feel like with an unwritten era, so it's like, does this mean, all right, like is this adventure we're going to be on not even foretold in the Book of Prophecies? And we see right
That's
here
the
that the
implication
eye
I
is
got
here.
from this. Yeah.
So like Luxu and the Master know what's happening here, but it's seemingly not going to be documented.
I mean, the impression that I get is that he's literally covering whoever this person is. They are covering the Master of Masters' eye, so they are forbidding the Master of Masters from seeing this point in time.
That's a good thought. I didn't even realize
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
think it actually makes sense for this to be Lushu, right? Because from what we've been told, and people keep telling me I'm wrong, but from what we've been told, Lushu gave up the Keyblade and didn't get it again until the very end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Right. Okay.
He's keeping
I
an eye on
guess
it from a distance. So
we. This is after Union Cross, though, right?
it's after Unicross, yeah.
So we don't. Okay. I guess here's my impression of what's happening. This is gonna be where, Lushu bequeaths the Keyblade, right? I feel like right. I was under the impression that it was given, during that last big fight with Darkness, with like Brain and Ventus and all them. Like, I think Lushu writes about like bequeathing the Keyblade during all the chaos or something.
Amid the
like
chaos, I bequeath the Keyblade to blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
that. Yeah. I feel like this is gonna be where he actually bequeaths it, and where he then transitions, like gets a new body. So to me, I feel like this is Lushu, but I mean, right? Who else would be here that would be in a black coat wielding No Name? Or is that the mystery? Is that what we're trying to find out?
I mean, okay, so we know. Okay, so we know that Odin has it at the time of Dark Road, and
Yep.
prior to that, from context, prior to that, Brain has it. Well, sorry, a person that looks like Brain has it at the end of Eden Cross, right? Someone carrying the black box has it.
Oh, I totally forgot about that scene.
Yeah, Lucy. As far as I can tell, Lucy's already given it up, right? Amid the chaos, I bequeath.
Wait.
Secret Report
Oh
12.
yeah.
Even on a world line with no Keyblade War, peace is but a dream. In the absence of us and our master, a darkness arrived, one that shall surely lead the world to yet another demise. Amid the chaos, I bequeathed my Keyblade to one of the Union leaders, just as the master instructed. I watched as the five were sent to another world line at no small cost, ensuring the line of Keyblade wielders will live on. And now, Keybladeless, I must depart this land to fulfill my final task. This means casting my own body aside and sojourning my heart in vessel after vessel, as many as it takes. So the way I read this, and again, I don't read these like reports as being literal things that were written down, except I guess for the Ansem reports. Shout out the Ansem Report podcast. I mean, maybe they were, but it doesn't matter. Like, he gave up the Keyblade, and then he switched bodies, right? Everything's going to shit. We see a scene of Lushu talking to Brain, and then we don't see Lushu anymore. Like, that's the final time we see Lushu, at least in this era.
Okay.
And literally amidst the chaos of the world crumbling and destructing and dying. I feel like he gives it to Brain at that moment. Or at least gives it to someone that looks like Brain. Again, and the people think, oh no, he possessed Brain. But unless this report is definitely wrong, which, hey, maybe it is. Maybe it's a mistranslation.
I don't think he
or something.
possesses Brain. Yeah. I think it was meant to lead you to think that he possessed Brain. I was under the impression, because now, yeah, rethinking on that cutscene, I think my impression of that, I don't think he pulls out No Name though, right? Or does he?
Yeah, he does.
He does. Okay.
The person at the end of Union Cross is carrying No Name, yeah.
Right. Well, doesn't he take off his head and it's Brain?
Yeah.
Or I mean, someone that looks like Brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that's Lushu, right? Yeah. I think that's still Brain, and I think the reason is because I feel like Lushu gives the. Does he have the box with him in that?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think so. Then I think that means also that the person we see. Okay, well that's where it gets a little tricky, right? Because Chirithy's talking about the guy walking away in back cover as if it's Lushu. So like this lines up with that scene.
Sure. Yeah.
And then he pulls it off, and it's Brain, right? Or someone that looks like Brain.
Who said
I guess
exactly the things that, yeah, exactly the same line.
As Lushu. What does he say exactly? I think he doesn't. He say,
it's, "May your heart be your guiding key" versus "May my heart be my guiding key."
Yeah, which I feel like is subtle.
It's
which maybe a
in
translation
Japanese.
issue.
In Japanese, it's. I should actually
Is it
check
the
this
same?
scene if this one got updated as well. But
Yeah.
The Japanese
Yeah.
text is exactly the same,
Okay.
and I'm more likely to
That's
believe
fair
that.
enough.
Because
Yeah,
I feel like there are some errors in this final update because they were just rushed all shit. But
Yeah. I guess then I would be under the assumption that Lushu is now possessing Brain with that context that this is the same Japanese text. I guess my impression upon rethinking on this scene was that Brain wasn't possessed by Lushu, but he was the one that hid the box so that Lushu didn't know where the box was. Because I kind of get the vibe he doesn't know, unless he's just staying quiet throughout Cage 3. But no, he does. He has it at the end of Cage 3, so he obviously knew where it was. So I am more inclined to believe
I don't know
that.
if he obviously knew where it was because I don't know. I'm still.
Well, I don't think it was in reality until that moment, right? I think it comes back into this reality or something, right? I don't think it was either gets transported through time or something, because Maleficent says something about it's not
It can't be found
in this time
It's
or
not in
something
this
like
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I am inclined to believe that this is Lushu possessing Brain, because then right, we don't see how Brain ends up in Scala. So that scene that we were watching where he's like has his hand over the eye,
Yeah.
I can see that being Lushu as Brain hopping bodies and dumping Brain off at the corner, and Sigurd coming up and being like, "Hey, I was told you'd be here. Let's go." Like, actually, that kind of fits really well in my head.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that?
My only problem with that
Which
is
I
that
think
a
keep
shitload
going.
of time has passed, and Brain is an age today. In that case, which I mean, Kingdom Hearts has done things like that
Yeah.
before with time, so it's not exactly the be all end all. Like, oh no, it can't be.
Actually, no. Okay, no, I agree with you. I think then, yeah. So Brain gets. Yeah, sorry, I'm like bouncing all over the
No,
place.
it's good. It's good.
I think then Brain would be transported into the future, because don't we see at the end of Dark Road that Bragai, he actually does have the coat there as well.
Yeah.
So it seems like he is kind of taking this coat with him. My impression was he has the coat now. He transports to the future. He has the coat, but it makes more sense even with the reports that you brought up that I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still.
Like, that can't be Lushu.
If the reports are true, that can't be Lushu. But again, maybe
Yeah.
they're wrong.
Yeah, I can see him lying about that.
I just don't see what the point of lying to a report that in universe, unless you literally know that the player of the video game is going to read this and get it wrong, and now we're going crazy meta with it. Why you wouldn't lie?
We've never seen Lushu, right? Quote unquote, we never seen Lushu.
It's True Face, no. So yeah, there are theories
be
that yes,
Lushu.
he looks exactly like
Yeah.
Brain. Yeah.
Or maybe somehow, yeah. I'm sure they can think of a way. Yeah.
So
yeah.
no matter what, to me, this person that's reformed here,
Yep.
unless they are really telling us lies, because they claimed that I was in Daybreak Town, it was destroyed, I time traveled, and then I ended up here, and I guess the hat would be the medium that he reformed with.
Yeah.
And now he has all his memories, so someone in this time has memories that he can
Ephemer.
repopulate himself with. Ephemer, maybe.
Well, he's probably not around here because they've made the statue, and I assume that would be way after.
After he dies, yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like Sigurd knows. Well, okay, it sounds like he would have. It sounds like the Book of Prophecies was shared
That's
with.
what I assume. Yes.
Yeah, so they would have memories through Ephemer's telling of it, I guess.
I mean, at the same time, Lucy was still here. If they made some sort of agreement that
Oh
we're going
yeah,
to send
true.
you forward
Yep.
into the future, some of my friends escaped with me.
Oh, and that would make more sense of why he's talking to Lucio at that point,
I think they
right
made
at the
some
end.
level of agreement that there is a plan. We are gonna work together on a plan here.
Yeah, yeah.
That is again, we don't see what they talk about, but
Hmm.
in the
I
last
could see. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
you gotta go
Yeah.
go
Keep
go
going.
go.
My thinking is right. This kind of gives. Okay. If Brain is possessed by Lucio,
Okay.
this makes a bit more right because we see Bragai getting murdered, quote unquote murdered by Balder,
At least
right? And he's
attacked.
like
Yeah.
attacked, right? I would be under the impression then that right, Brain, while being controlled by Lucio here, would lose his memories while Lucio's in control. Right? Oh, but you don't need a body to have your heart thrown into the future. You just need memories and a medium.
To reform yourself with. Yeah.
Yeah. So this, I mean, because that's what happened to Maleficent and Ansem in Rechain of Memories.
They actually both say it differently. Yeah, Lucy says one thing and the Master says another thing. One of them's like you need a vessel to inhabit, and the other one's like you just need to your body will reform itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I kind of am under right. This seems to line up with the reports and the end of back cover, where this is like my heart is my guiding key, or whatever, the line, and the fact that he's in this body, and then Brain wakes up in the future. Right, if your heart just needs memories and a medium, then I can definitely see that Brain gave up his body for Lucy to inhabit. That does make sense.
Yeah, potentially. It's tricky.
I mean, it follows the rules.
I think it does follow the rules. Yeah, I mean, I do like that it's generating so much discussion because some people are set in stone that Lucian must be possessed. Yeah, so sorry, possessing Brain here.
Right.
And I don't know if you've seen my video, but I had this theory that potentially they needed to get a pod back across. Right, they needed to get the pod that was sent for player initially. They needed to go get that and bring it back and use it to travel forward in time with. So did they go in and grab the data copy of Brain? Because like the updates go out of their way to be like, we all have data backups. Remember the thing we have? We all have data backups. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you bringing that up now when there's so much other shit to do? Why are you like specifically hammering that home if you aren't going to use that information? So I'm thinking like, there's a data Brain and there's a real Brain, and one of them went forward into the future and one of them stayed behind and became Lucia's apprentice. And that I think this is literally like the person we're looking at right now is either Brain or his data copy, and that he will hand on the coat. Because remember the back cover, like one of the very first lines, like take this keyblade and hand it from your apprentice and from him to the next apprentice and so on and so forth, so that my eye can see the future. I'm paraphrasing there. But so Lucio takes on Brain as his first apprentice, gives him a cloak and the black box, and basically these objects will be continually passed down. So Brain's apprentice, whoever that ends up being, keep passing it on, keep passing it on, keep passing it on, and then eventually we might end up at Odin, right? Like, or whoever this, because someone's gonna have to.
Well, it would have to be, right?
Eventually, yeah. I mean, either it gets taken by Odin or it doesn't, but it isn't like taken forcefully or like the original owner passes away or something. Who knows? But it has to end up in Odin's hands eventually, and then presumably Odin gives it to Xehanort, which could still be part of the plan. He could be like, okay, this is the final step. You're going to give it to the Dark Seeker, and he's going to go and do crazy things with it. But I'm assuming everyone that ends up with this Keyblade is basically part of the plan, except for Xehanort himself. I don't know.
You don't think Xehanort's part of the plan?
Not like he is, but he doesn't know it.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense.
Oh, you mean like in on it? I see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they're given the apprentice role. Uh, but Brain seems to have no memory of it,
When he
right? If you're
arrives
saying
in the future.
yeah. I guess that's why it makes me think this is Luciu, but I could see.
So why? Okay, so why does Lucian not give up the Keyblade? Like, when does he give it up then? He still has it at the time of Missing Link. You're saying,
Right, I can see
and then he
him
gives it
saying,
what to Odin? Like Odin's the only guy he gives it to, or so, someone before Odin potentially. But
hmm. Right, because he does make a point to say I bequeathed it down.
if you believe Report 12, yeah.
Right, if you believe it, I guess is.
When
I could see him like kind of going around that point by being like, well, I bequeathed it to Brain, but then I possessed him.
yeah, I mean that is true. You could rate it like that he was too hesitant to let it go, but see, I don't know. The person that I see in the Missing Link trailer, I feel like is the latest in the line of apprentices, and for
Yeah, I
whatever
can see
reason they've
that.
decided. Because if you want to
Yeah,
get like
well, I
super
guess.
meta with it, right? Like the Master of like there's no medals of the Missing Link characters or the Dark Road characters, right?
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, at least the Missing Link ones.
Well, we haven't seen any yet.
Like there is technically Young Xehanort and Young Ericus medals. Um,
Yeah.
so like if the Master of Masters' eye has been covered up the entire time, therefore it can't be in the Book of Prophecies. Like, oh, that's why there's no medals of those. I mean, it's
Well, and
dumb,
if
but
yeah, no, it fits in with the unwritten era too. Like if they're intentionally hiding this portion of history from the Master of Masters to
yeah,
enact some plan, right? Because I get the vibe. I don't know. It seems like there's a state of confusion when Luciu brings back the foretellers in the Keyblade graveyard.
there is for sure. Yeah,
So it's like, all right. So if what you're saying is true, and I mean it kind of makes sense, right? This would be where Luciu enacts his plan, then uncovers the eye, continues on like, this is normal, and then summons them after the Book of Prophecies is finished. Which, right, at that point they would have jumped to world lines, so maybe that like distorts the eye somehow or something. I'm not entirely sure, but this is now a different world line because the Book of Prophecies ends at the end of Cage 3. I mean, if that is where it ends, where it's like, light is to expire and darkness prevail, and then they hop world lines, and now it's this different world line, and now Lucia's like, cool, now I can enact the plan or whatever that we set up back in Missing Link, or I guess back here in Union Cross.
yeah. This scene is everything that happens with Lucius. So it's this scene and the one right before it where he's talking to the darkness. I feel like they are so important, and I really hope at some point we get to see that full conversation.
Yeah,
Because right now it
it's
cuts
a
to
shame.
black, right?
Yeah,
It's I read that as like, it's a shame this lifetime is the only one you've got. What if you had two? What's the next part of this line?
well, but then what's Brain's next steps, right? Now if Brain now knows he can swap bodies to to keep preserving his life, then
Yeah.
why does he wake up in in Skullhead Kylum like, hey, I was just in Daybreak? Like that doesn't. That's such a weird.
I mean, unless he's lying, he literally says that my friends escaped with me. Like,
I mean, wait, does he
what?
specify?
Okay,
I honestly haven't
where does
seen
the
this scene
pod
in
come
so
from?
long.
So okay, so the way it all like works out, right? And I need to lay it all out again. Basically, there's like two pods that escape, right?
Yeah,
Let's
and
go back.
we're under the assumption it's Ephemer and Scold, right?
Yeah, when we see them, we see that that is what happens.
Yeah.
Then after that, everything's destroyed. Like once Ephemer and Skull's pods let's say Skull gets away, but Ephemer doesn't. Let me go back a bit so we can see the state of the room right now. Okay, so the state of the room right now is there are two pods here. This is currently the real world because you have to send the pods back to go pick up Skull and Ephemer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the real world right now. There's two pods here. In the data world right now, there's The one pod on the left for the player, I think, that doesn't end up getting used. And then, yeah. So the one that ends up, that was quote unquote for the player, never came through in the first place. Only 6 left, I think. Or
Right.
God, only a handful left. I don't need to rewatch this stuff. Only
Because
a
Ventus,
handful left.
Lorium, and Elrena, those 3 went to the future.
Yeah.
And the other one that was, who knows, Strelitzia or...
Right. Yeah, so Maleficent's already got one. One's been destroyed.
Oh, Maleficent. Right, yeah.
One's destroyed. Yeah, the True Dandelion's got another one. But that's the one in the
4
middle
then.
of this room in
Or
the
5.
real world. The True Dandelion has one from the real world. It's the same one that was destroyed. Yeah. The one that was destroyed is the one the True Dandelion gets in.
Gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, basically, so there's one still sitting in the data world right now. So when it's time for Ephemera and Skull to use theirs, there are 3 sitting there. So they take 2 of them and leave one behind. So I feel like at this point, like how does Brain get to the future then? If we know that he time travels and he says he time traveled, oh, my friend's left with me. That not confirmed, but that implies that they're time traveling at the same moment. At the same time, Daybreak Town is being destroyed. My friend's left. I left with them. Where are they?
Wait, but if you're saying that the 2 on the right are Ephemera and Skulls, then shouldn't there be another one on the left that would be the players?
Oh, no. So
they're all 3...
Right now, we're in the real world, and these 2... So we're going to cut away, and the next thing we're going to see is 2 pods arrive. Right? We don't see how it happens, but at the very least, we know that 2 pods are sent back into this room.
Okay. Right. I forgot about that, yep.
So we know that for sure.
And there's
so whatever happens with Lucio and Brain, no matter what happens, 2 pods are sent back.
Yeah. Okay.
And now there's still one sitting there. Right, there's the one sitting there on the left. So how does Brain get to the future? I feel like he literally must take the pod on the left, which is currently in the data world, and use it to go into the future. I don't see another way. I mean, yeah, there's other time travel methods, sure, but I don't...
How would he get back into the data world, though?
I mean, he can just use the button, right, and just, like, summon it.
Oh, right. He can just
transfer. I mean, he just transferred these 2 towards Ephemera. Surely he could pull them back.
Yep. Yeah.
I would assume. I don't know. I mean, there's crazy things they've been able to...
Yeah, explain.
I feel like from the terminal in the real world, he can do whatever he damn well pleases.
Okay, so then... He just pulls the data backup from himself.
They just go out of their way to be like, hey, data backup, and it's like, why?
Well, even there, right? Even that cutscene, they'd like pan to that.
They pan to the pod and go, look, there's a pod here.
Hey,
there's a pod here. Hey, there's a pod here.
Yeah, I loved that scene. That was just then when they show all the foretellers.
It's just gorgeous. Yeah,
I love that one.
I'm really sad I watched this in Japanese first because man, it hits hard.
It's so good.
And again, I appreciate Ryuichi being there at the time, but God, it hits so much harder when you're reading it and
when you can understand it.
Yeah.
In real time. Yeah.
This sounds so good in the dub right now as well. By the way, almost done. Yeah, so that like the Master of Masters goes, hey, don't worry, I've got a backup plan. In the update before this, and I'm pretty sure in this one as well, they're like data backups. Yeah, here you go. Lorium just says out of nowhere, like one of his final lines, I assumed people's data just didn't exist when I couldn't find my sisters, but it does. But I was wrong. Yeah, it does. It's like what? Okay, thanks. What a strange thing to say.
So, okay, I see what you're saying then. It does make sense for that to be a copy of Brain at that point, right? You put him in the pod before you pull him out, or somehow you transfer his data into a replica or something, right? Like you get the data copy in the real life.
Which again, they've already established you can do because we saw Lucio skipping through town with a data backup of someone, whether it's Strelitzia or not. He has a data backup of someone that he obviously pulled out of that world.
Yeah.
So again, they're like, yep, that's something you can do. You can pull a data copy of someone out of the world.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm totally on board then because that would make sense with why it looks like Brain, and why Brain is in the future and doesn't remember, having that. And I mean, that kind of makes sense with why he's talking to Brain specifically. Oh, even then, right? He says you're smart. Like,
Yeah. I like you.
yeah, like it. Yeah. Hmm. I think. Yeah. See, I think the only thing I would then argue against
Mm-hmm.
would be that I still think in Missing Link that is Lucio. Because, right, if we're seeing this black coated figure go throughout all, we saw them at the end of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, with it as like Data Brain or, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see Bragai in a similar black coat,
Yeah.
and that we know that's Lucio possessing him. Like, I don't know why they would. I mean, other than the fact that they're trying to throw a red herring, why that black coated figure wouldn't be Lucio.
Yeah, I mean, I guess from my point of view, like, let's say it's either Brain or Data Brain's apprentice, then, or in some way down the line of chain of apprentices, then wouldn't they pass the black
Oh,
coat down as well? Like, wouldn't Data
so
Brain or
you're
whoever it
saying
is
okay?
take the
Yeah.
box, take the keyblade, take a black coat? Okay, this is
See,
now
I think
this.
that's where we might disagree.
Okay,
Is I think, even if they did pull Data Brain out of the Datascape,
yeah,
I still think that's Lucio.
back in the keyblade graveyard.
Unless Chirith, yeah, in the Keyblade Graveyard.
Okay,
Because, right, he says the same line. I think he even says it in his voice.
yeah, back cover he says it in Lucius' voice. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
And then
Apart from just they
Chirith
just
is
made it so
also.
long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it could be fair. And I think Chirith also says, like, and he went off and did his thing.
The implication is that, yeah, like you see a cut through the keyblade graveyard with Lucio walking away with the box, and then you infer that a few seconds later is when the end of back cover happens, the final scene where he goes, "May my
Yeah.
heart be my guiding key." You infer that, but again, it's not exactly
But then that would
confirmed.
also, right, that would kind of go against, unless Braig's voice and Zigbar
Yeah,
is Lucio's voice, but it doesn't sound the same to me. Like, because then that scene with Data Brain should be Data Brain's voice saying that, not Lucio's, which, could go back to what you were saying, is they just filmed it so long ago
yeah,
that they can't update it now.
yeah. I don't know. It's tricky, but I feel like you could sort
That
of
could,
hand wave
yeah.
that and be like, that's what Brain sounds like. Actually, he also sounds
Yeah.
similar enough to
We don't
Lucio.
know. Yeah. Hmm.
Again, I also understand that I'm going against, I think, the more popular grain, which is that, like, the commonly accepted theory is that, yeah, Lucio possessed Brain. And I don't necessarily hate that either. I'm like, I am
Well, it doesn't
digging.
make sense.
But,
Well, what the whole memory thing, unless he just wipes his memory after that and sends him into the future. But then, right now, Daybreak Town is destroyed. Like, right? Isn't that the idea is that they have to do it quickly before Daybreak's destroyed? So, like, they would like Brain had to use the pod at that time.
yeah, he didn't.
Correct?
Yeah. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
my
like,
theory is that he did it between the time where they walk up to the roof. So they're in the basement right now, but they walk all the way up to the roof, Ephemera and Skull, see the destruction, then walk back down, then take the pod and go into the future. So the writers gave themselves enough time where they could go in, summon a pod, go into the future, and then, yeah, so here they arrive. Oh, yeah, plenty of time. Okay, let's walk all the way to the roof, all the way back
just
down
look
again.
at this devastation. Jeez.
Yeah, right. It's a gorgeous shot. All the way back down again. Yeah. Okay, back in we go. And now we're going to time travel forward. At this point, the machine is destroyed. Like there is no more time travel.
Right,
happening
because then it
now.
closes. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the pod's not there. Yeah. Okay. So that's
already gone.
definitely where. Yeah. Okay.
Again, like, it's not here, and this is the real world, right? So the real world potentially
Yeah.
Skull Lace right now, and Ephemer doesn't potentially. So either
But they would
the
have
data
had to
pod
already
never
have done
comes
the
across.
process.
Yeah, if Brain time traveled with the pod, he had to have already done it at this moment.
Yeah.
There is no other way he could have done it, right? If he time
Right.
traveled
Well,
with the pod.
and he might have even. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. It has to be, right? Like, there would be really no reason for them to go look at the devastation. I mean, maybe I guess you could argue that they were
Just
curious.
morbidly curious, like, ooh, I wonder what I can see my house from here.
Yeah,
Yep, it's gone. Yeah,
it's
it's
gone.
halfway in the air right now. Yep.
Yeah.
But I think they get
Nah, that
themselves a
has
clever
to
little
be,
writing
right?
trick of like, yeah, here's a few minutes of spare time where we can do some trickery.
Well, yeah, well, him and Lucia are talking, doing the plan. They're like, all right, let them come back. Let's hide. Then let's pull the pod, send you into the future, and pull the data copy out. And then I don't know. That
That
that makes yeah.
that's my theory. That's yeah. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but
Well,
that
that's the
makes
only
the
way
most
we've
sense to me
seen
right now.
them able to time. Oh well, hold on.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only
there
other
are
thing
other
would
methods,
be
right? Yeah, you could
there are
just
other methods.
yoink
Yeah,
your heart out and then eventually plant
yeah.
it back in your body later on. That's what I'm saying. That's
Which
that's why I
I
keep
mean,
clarifying if he
yeah,
traveled with the pod, it
yeah.
had to
If
happen
you
now.
travel with the pod, yeah.
Yeah.
Because with the pod's the only Okay, maybe the pod isn't how he traveled then, right? Because the pod is the only way to travel to the future without losing your body, correct? Or does that still strip
No,
away
you lose your
your
body.
body
Yeah,
as well?
it just ends up being
Okay.
reformed. So the thing
Okay.
is, like, let's
So
say,
yeah,
like, it strips your heart, it strips your body away, but in theory, the body's still free to be used, right? Like, so did
well,
Data Brain
okay.
go into real brain's body, and that's
Well,
what
Efremer's the
the
only one
apprentice
that
is,
shows up with the pod, right? All the other ones are just on the
because
ground.
he doesn't time travel. He This is the theory at least. Skull does. Everyone else just podlessly arrives, but Efremer doesn't travel at all. He just floats
He just
ashore.
survives that.
It's strong enough
Okay.
for him to survive, yeah, but he doesn't actually go anywhere.
Okay, that's fair. I can see that actually. But then I would argue that Skull doesn't, because it seems like they're both
Which
very.
is possible, right? Because we know someone that looks a lot like Skald is also at
Yeah.
that time. So if she's not Subject X, then did she also not time travel at all?
Yeah.
And is she staying in this time? It's possible. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. The Dark Road ending made it a lot less clear.
Mhm.
Because the running theory prior to this was that, yeah, she did time travel and she's Subject X. But it's also very possible that, I mean, I think Ava, the case
We
for Subject
discussed
X being
being
Ava
Ava.
became a lot stronger. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the way I read it, the way I read it is that, yes, FMA floats ashore right now. So this is literally Daybreak Town has just been destroyed. I don't think he's time traveled to a future point in time where there's also wreckage of Daybreak Town. I think
Yeah.
the implication
It's
is
come
that he
back to
didn't
me.
travel at all.
Right.
It's, what, a few hours later, whatever, the storm has passed, and he sees this landmass over to the side. And again, the camera, this is how I read it, because the camera pans over to it, but
To the landmass behind him, right?
right.
Yeah.
And I assume that's where you would go to try and build a world. Now, the modern day Scala that we know, that could have been built over this,
Well, it definitely is.
because the
Because
Daybreak
that's
Town Tower is underneath it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Cage 3 fight, you see it. Built
Yeah.
literally on top of the clock tower.
right. But I think that
The
the framing of the shot
Gothic one.
heavily
Yeah.
implies that Skull is built over there.
Yeah.
Again, unless
I would agree with that.
like
Yeah.
why
Unless
why
it's just
pan,
being
like why do that though? Like why pan across to the
Yeah, why show islands over there?
yeah? You could have just lingered on the part where you could have just lingered here if you wanted to, but you explicitly make a choice to pan over to, or sorry, zoom out, I should say.
I mean, you could make the argument that they're painting across the devastation, but like that still doesn't give
no.
like a reason why there's a landmass behind.
Yeah, because you see like
Yeah.
way more devastation in this shot, right? This opening shot here
Yeah, yeah.
than you do in that sky. I've never really looked at that. It looks gorgeous.
It's pretty detailed, yeah.
Almost looks like the final world sky.
Yeah.
Anyway, like you've shown.
Oh
all
wait,
this
wait, yeah.
destruction
Does it have a
already.
different skybox after? It does, I think.
Let's see.
Nah,
It's
it's
just
the
the
same
zoomed
one.
in version, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then you explicitly show another landmass there. So yeah, I think the idea is that different Scala is built on that one, and then yeah, maybe they keep expanding and they even expand onto the ocean, and
Right.
the Scala that we know, the Ericus and Xehanort, where Dark Road is set, is potentially over this wreckage here, potentially.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so everyone, yeah, like I said, everyone rocks up podlessly.
Well, even in, and I'm just remembering this right now in Remind, when you do that little puzzle with the world maps
The
with the
break
red, blue,
puzzle.
and
Yeah,
I
go on.
think so. Yeah,
It
yeah.
says break.
And
Yeah.
it like gives you the story. Oh yeah, yeah. And like it skips over the whole portion where uh there's a Scaled Kylum before the one we know.
Right.
So the whole unwritten era even there.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Because right, that would be separate from the Book of Prophecy, and it still wasn't written about, right?
Right. Yeah. No. True. Um. Yeah. So again, just kind of try and clarify my thoughts in a quick just summary. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like this guy here could well be
The
either Brain or his data
the
copy.
yeah
Again, potentially inhabiting Brain's currently unoccupied body, potentially. This person here, because again, I'm only so determined to like stick to this point just because report 12 is so clear that I gave up my Keyblade, then amidst the chaos,
yeah
then I ran off and started switching bodies. Like, for him to lie in his own report seems strange, but if it ends up that I'm completely wrong here, then I'll definitely concede the point. But I guess I'm just like, they really made it clear that, like, why would
nah
they break their own
yeah
rules so soon after writing them? But yeah, so the Brain or his apprentice, and he's gonna, grow up and eventually bequeath the Keyblade to someone that he trusts, to his own apprentice, give him the cloak, potentially Keyblade and Black Cloak, and be like, all right, this is the plan, this is what we have to keep doing. And then, yeah,
mm.
eventually that person, apprentice, is going to rock up at the time of Missing Link and is going to be the person that we saw covering the Keyblade here.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I didn't even put that together. And I even like pulled out the unwritten era, but not the fact that he like, because I thought he was just like putting his hand over the blade, right, like showing it off kind of thing. But nah, he literally is just like
it's explicitly covering
last,
the
like,
eye. Yeah.
5 frames. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
over the eye. Yeah.
Um. So that
Yeah,
and
like
again,
it's just like, hey, don't see anything, which is funny. Like, because if that's how that works, that's hilarious to me. I don't know why, but that's just funny to me.
I mean, it may be more symbolic than literal, but I
Fair
think
enough.
the implication is that the Master of Masters can't see this point in time, and I assume you do this because you're
I
trying
like
to
that.
fight the darkness. I assume you do this because darkness has somehow read the Book of Prophecies or read some parts of it, and
Oh, we know he has. Yeah.
right, and so you want to keep some level of like if you're going to formulate a plan, you do it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. You try and
You do it. Yeah.
like if there's all this talk about the Child of Destiny and singularities and stuff, and it's common knowledge at this time, but darkness isn't aware of it. Like, at some point, you're going to make a play, right? At some point, you're going to be like, all right, I trust Lushu. He's going to be the wild card here to go back to the friggin' Oh, It's Always Sunny.
Well, or whoever this is.
Well, I think you still trust Lushu to pass on the message to his apprentice and so on and so forth. Like, here's this crazy
Okay.
plan. I'm going to help you from the distance. I'm always going to be there helping you from a distance, watching over this Keyblade. Actually, there you go. He's watching over the Keyblade from a distance, he says in the reports, but
Yeah.
what if he's also watching over his apprentice and carrying out this plan? Like the chain of apprentices. It's and the Keyblade is a shorthand for I'm carrying on this legacy thing, this plan we're trying to enact here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once the job
Yeah.
is finally done, the Keyblade War is finally refought. Okay, finally back where it belongs. Like we did it. It's done. We'll summon the Foretellers back.
Man. Yeah.
I don't know. It makes
Nah,
a weird level of sense to me. Like,
No, it does make sense. Because right, he would have. Yeah. I mean, right. It has like two implications at that point, right? Like he sent it off to be with his apprentices, but then like it would have also been like, okay, cool. The plan actually worked, kind of thing. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
because obviously, like at the time of Dark Road, when Odin's in control of it, the Master can see all of that again, right? Because it's
Yep.
hanging up on the wall, clear as day. Like we're all staring at this thing. And it's staring right back. Like
I mean, I guess right. This generation would be the one. Well, maybe longer than a generation, but I'm assuming if that's our player character that then grows up to be the blue clothed guy,
You mean the guy in white
would,
or
or yeah, this guy.
yeah,
Right, he's in blue. Um, or like his inner shirt's blue.
yeah,
um,
sure,
then
sure.
he would right. This would be the generation that would be unwritten. No, I wouldn't say the entire period, but maybe. I mean, who knows? I kind of inferred that that would just be like, all right, what player's going to do or what the player character is now going to do to combat the darkness or whatever plan we're going to enact. The Book of Prophecies isn't going to know about this generation.
I agree. Yeah. See, I don't know if
Which I guess would that
go
would
on, go
that
on.
be hiding Xehanort's birth as well?
But
Like, would
yeah,
that be why?
potentially,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
But then he ends up back in the eye again. So.
Right. As soon as the blue coat person croaks, yeah.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Hmm.
like I don't know. Sigurd is part of some level of organization, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
radio back to headquarters. I don't know. Is there some sort of shadowy organization that's working to either keep things in accordance with the Book of Prophecies or like make sure the Master's plan is coming to fruition without I don't know.
I mean, they seem to worship Ephemer, so
Right.
I'm sure he's part of some organization. And Ephemer is obsessed with the Book of Prophecies,
True.
so I'm sure their order is going to be like somehow keeping in line with what the Book of Prophecies. Because I mean, literally, Ephemer's like entire life goal was to read that thing.
Right.
So I can't imagine him. See, that's what's weird. That's the only thing that I haven't quite figured out is how Ephemer's transported to the future in that moment of need for Sora at the exact age he was when we see him in Union Cross.
Right.
Because if he's somehow like, it seems like he's led this legacy in this town, like he's built this place. So how is he then appearing to Sora? Unless that's just like the representation he chose. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably be more inclined to believe that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and again, it's like we're gonna see old man FMS showing up. Like we're not gonna know who that is. Well, we'll
Yeah.
infer it unless he's. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Maybe FMS died as a kid. You know, he just. I don't know. I mean, if
And we're fighting his Dark Inferno key.
there you go, there you go.
It's
I don't know.
heartless.
If FMS got the Book of Prophecies and he's read up to and including the point where, and then Sora reached out for help, and I willed it into existence. Me, a person from the past, you know, sent my friend the player, you know, has help through the form of the player.
Oh,
And
yeah.
all of the players,
Dude,
basically, like every
imagine
single
that.
person that's formed a connection with him. Because
Does he reach out his hand in that cutscene as well? Ephemer?
okay.
I honestly don't remember. You don't need to pull it up. But, right? Like, how... Because I think you had brought this up, and I'm kind of on board with the whole, Sora being the third incarnation of the player character. Because, like, it makes sense to me, at least. Right, this scene when, like, yeah, Ephemer and Sora just bathed in light, and then Ephemer turns around. Well, they're just staring at each other for a bit. But, oh, man, this scene would be so cool if he reaches out. But I don't know if he's going to reach out. No, he doesn't.
No,
Okay.
that's all you save him, yeah.
But even then, like, he's still bathed in light, where, the player's in this dire need of help, and Ephemer reaches down and helps out.
It's a player one
The
more time,
parallel
yeah.
to that scene, right? Like, if Sora is the third incarnation of the player character, that would just make the scene even that much more great. Man.
I used to talk about it forever, but I never got the video done. But yeah, the idea that Sora like literally was the player before I even knew like that the player was a like
Able to reincarnate.
yeah,
I think I remember discussing that with you a lot.
yeah. I don't know.
Because yeah, the whole like save point thing, especially like being called into question, or not called into question, but put in the spotlight in the final battle where like you literally do the death animation and then you're brought back. It's like, oh yeah,
at the
It's
very
just
very
you're
end
just
of
using the power of
Chaos
waking
3.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I ran out of hard drive space literally right as I was capturing this final scene, so I actually
Oh
don't.
no.
I don't have it. I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, that
I need to
scene
re-record the rest
kind
of
of, I
it.
feel like to me really seems to
Well, yeah, what we're talking about is so in the final beam clash in Kingdom Hearts 3, where Sora sort of shoots out a beam of light, but Xehanort blocks it and then launches one back from the Keyblade, and then so eventually Sora quote unquote dies. He takes the death animation, and then you have to click the
and
button a couple
I think it
times.
plays the same sound as you die in the game as
It's
well.
it's an exact death animation by all recollection.
Yeah.
Your Sora's still floating there, and then you click X a couple times, and then Donald and Goofy call out to Sora. I think you hit triangle, don't you? And effectively,
Yeah.
then you are a
And
few
I think it's
seconds
called
earlier.
Trinity. Yeah.
Yeah, Trinity, that's the way. Ooh, called Trinity. For the third life of the player, then you all along.
Oh my god.
And then yeah, you're back in time a few seconds earlier, but this time Donald and Goofy are helping you block against the beam, and you win.
Yeah.
The idea that like it is a special trait of the video game player, like the actual person holding the controller, that is the one controlling the video game character.
Yep.
And it's not like Sora can defeat Lingering Will, he can defeat Yozora, right? But there's 0% chance they can do that on their own the first try.
Mm-hmm.
It's your experience with learning the patterns of the boss and learning that okay, no, he feigns an attack 6 times, but he attacks on the 7th. Like then that's the one I gotta block. Like blah 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 blah. All the tricks you learn, all the retries that you do. I don't know that.
They kind of just, they're canon, right? Like it's canon to your experience.
Right. It does sort of seem that way. And now that we're kind of pushing towards, oh, okay, you come from a video game. There's this video game character here in the form of Yozora. I don't know. I've talked about it on stream to death, but the idea that is the more trying to draw some sort of interesting line between video game characters and I don't know. It's a fun rabbit hole to sort of start thinking about.
Well, I think even, yeah, well, the whole like, the whole Yozora fight where Yozora is the main character in his video game.
Correct.
And we're Sora, the main character in our video game.
Right.
And we have 2 canon endings where they finish, like the sentences are swapped around for which ending you get.
I still get chills
still
thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's
Yeah.
very cool.
But it's like, yeah, like for those characters, they never lose, right? Zora's like, I never lose as he like kills Sora. And then like Sora,
Yeah.
or yeah, I didn't get the right quote.
Go. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, but just the fact that exists, like those 2 are canon to this. I mean, maybe they're not. I always understood that as like 2 branching world lines. We're seeing where Yozora wins, which is canon to Yozora, and we're seeing Sora wins, which is canon to Sora.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we won't know for sure until the next game. I don't think. I'm sure there's probably only one canon storyline, but
Yeah,
world
I would
line.
assume so. I assume it's the one where Sora wins because we're playing Kingdom Hearts, but you never know. Like,
Yeah.
I think there was an interview though, right? That the losing ending is non-canon. They just wanted to give you something for, like, in case you couldn't beat the ending.
Yeah.
But I might
we
be
can't trust
paraphrasing here.
interviews.
I do
no.
agree. I don't really think that we can.
But no, I think I remember that interview as well. But it was also like that was such a cool experience too, like fighting that. I literally thought when I played it, I was like, oh wow, like this is impossible. And then I died, and then I was like, oh yeah, cool. I wasn't supposed to beat him. And I think I talked to Bio later, and he was like, no, you can beat it. And I was like, oh.
You're Sora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think I was up really late, and it was just like, oh cool, I got a cutscene. And I was like, I'll go back and
you
try to
played
beat
the
it
DLC
later.
and you snapped your disc in half. You're like, I'm done.
I'm done.
Buddy, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So, again, I'm very excited for Missing Link's story, just for everything that it could potentially entail. I don't know, like the idea of it being an unwritten error that you got this like Sigurd, like literally, the player. Again, we're assuming this guy in the white coat is the player. Like literally salutes Ephema, as you were saying. Like they do seem to very much respect him.
Yeah.
And so we've seen obviously this gameplay in Disney Worlds. I guess I was going to ask you, like, what do you think is going to be the reason for the gameplay? Like, why are we going to these various Disney Worlds?
Yeah. I think yeah, with the Kingdom of Corona, like
Yeah.
I think obviously right, they're gonna try to reuse as much assets as they can. But the Kingdom of Corona, right, this bloodline is kind of severed in that movie. I don't know if you've seen Tangled, but
Mm-hmm.
like this missing child, missing link,
Mm-hmm.
is stolen, and she's like part of the royal bloodline. And the fact that this game is all about bloodlines just makes me think, right, like if this is it, right, all the worlds are in different world or different times, so I'm assuming we'll be going there when the child is first taken.
Yeah,
So
it
we'll
could
be
be.
like,
Could
I
be
don't know,
exactly
trying to go,
like how
yeah,
Dark Road was.
rescue the right. But I'm assuming that the whole royal bloodline will fit into this, just because she is a princess that's been stolen. But
Sure.
um, so there's that world, and then there's Scarlet Kylum, which is the base world. So I'm not really sure. I mean, we have Brain and stuff, like he's the royal bloodline of Ericus, and then there's another Keyblade wielder that'll be the royal bloodline of. Well, I mean, it's Skuld and or not Skuld, but look-alike Skuld in Ephemera, I think, right? He's the bloodline they're referring to. For
Ephemera is the blood. Yeah, I mean, obviously Xehanort is
Xehanort.
somewhere in Ephemera's lineage.
Yeah.
I noted this in my video, but I found it really weird that player wouldn't also reference Skald. Like, if Skald, okay, so if that woman that is Xehanort's mother is also in Skald's family tree, like is her answer is if she is a descendant of Skald. I'm trying to find my words here.
Yeah.
Why player wouldn't also mention that? It seems very weird to exclude her because he seemed to have like a lot of respect for Skald. But I guess maybe in universe, Ephemera might be extremely powerful. Like there's the Wreck-It Ralph character, um the sergeant, whatever her name is,
Yeah.
played by Jane Lynch,
I don't remember her name.
notes that like, oh, Ephemera, you look like you can handle yourself. Like he seems to be quite strong in universe, so maybe
Okay.
that's why. I mean, even though like player O-code both of them together at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he was closer to Ephemera, I feel like. Like, I know he went on, he like tried to find Ephemera with Skuld,
Yeah.
but I mean, they were first, that was his first out of union friend, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I would definitely make an impression. Whereas, Skuld, the rest of the crew. Actually, did he only meet Skuld? Did he not meet the rest? No, he hopped in when the rest of them were there. So I feel like they wouldn't. I don't know, but you're right. I feel like because right, they appeared both at the end when he's like, when the player's on the ground reaching up to Ephemera. I think Skuld's there as well.
Yeah, he is.
So
They both are, yeah.
I don't know why.
Scott comes through the portal first, however they arrive.
Right.
And then Ephemera comes straight afterwards. But yeah, so I don't know if Skald is in Xehanort's family tree. I mean, there's obviously a woman that looks exactly like her, very similar to her. That's his mother.
I mean,
but I sort of
yeah.
threw around the idea that like maybe she's not necessarily like, because I mean, it's possible that she paired up with Ephemera, right? Like, and that.
Do they use pronouns now, or did they just refer to the bloodline? Because they could have that could have been an oversight. That
You
they
share
addressed.
a bloodline with a renowned Keyblade wielder, I think is the new line. With
Right.
a
So,
renowned
that
Keyblade wielder.
could be Skuld at that point.
But then they finish it
But
off by
I think
saying
it is
that
Ephemera.
because I say this with conviction because in your veins beats the blood of Ephemera or something. A good friend of mine. Blah 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 blah.
Oh,
blah.
he does say Ephemera.
The
Okay.
final line is still about Ephemera, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough then. Yeah.
So that's the implication.
Yeah,
at
considering
least.
right. Considering the other worlds, I think the only other two we see is Scarlet Kylum, and I think we talked about this, but it's either the Dark World or Castle of Dreams before it's like either before or after it's pulled down, but we don't see the actual Castle of Dreams castle in the background like we do in 0.2 when Aqua's fighting there in the Dark World.
Yeah, so it looks visually quite similar to, like you said, the Dark World version of the Dwarf Woodlands, though.
Yeah. There's just no tower in the back.
Right.
So I'm kind of leaning right. Yeah, we're here. If you guys are
It's
watching on screen,
very foresty
um,
and yeah.
but it has like the whole thorns like the Castle of Dreams had. But right, that could have easily just been the Dark Worlds like overlay on top of the Castle of Dreams
Well, I guess it's different,
or
right? Like it's
Enchanted Dominion.
like Enchanted Dominion was like Maleficent was the cause of the thorns, but if we're saying it's the dwarf woodlands and that this rock is where that queen falls, um,
Oh, I was saying no, because if you look in 0.2, isn't this that would be Maleficent's tower in the background, correct?
I suppose, yeah. I don't know. Now that I'm watching, I think I agree with you initially, but now that I'm watching it again, it almost looks more like dwarf woodlands. I think. I don't know. No, there are thorns on the right there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, either way, they're going to be reusing
the 0.
previously established assets, right? Like that's, they,
Yeah,
I mean, they clearly have. Like it's obviously Kingdom of Corona. I
yeah,
did a comparison on Twitter, but it's exactly the same location
yeah,
that Sora
exactly.
first arrives.
And this one's definitely 0.2's at least arena area where you fight Darkseid.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
without the background elements, I would say.
Okay. I'm less confident on that, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
visually it looks very similar to it. I can't argue with that.
fair enough. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, obviously the gacha is in full swing. There are statues everywhere. Beautiful.
I love the trophies though. Like I love them. They look really cool. Like I know they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make you buy these or pull these. I know you want that aqua. You're gonna have to pull 10 times.
That's right.
What do you think our currency is gonna be?
I don't know if they'll just
I don't think it's gonna
use
be
jewels
jewels.
again, or if they want to distance themselves from that and go Kingdom Buckos. I don't know. Who knows?
Kingdom buckos.
Why not? Little hearts.
I mean, I could see it being like, nah, I was gonna say pages, but I don't think Ephemer would like just
Pages of the
toss
Book of
around.
Prophecies. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah.
I am really excited for the gameplay though because I was reading in an interview that like you'll be able to like my idea of the gameplay is like you'll have your GPS in an area around you that you can move around with like a control stick or whatever.
Okay.
Because they said it's gonna still be a video game. But then I'm assuming as you walk, right, it'll move your area that you can move in. So like right, being able to swipe up a building will be like controls that you use with your touch screen. But then the areas, because you can see that like moving circular. Right, this is a
Little
battle, so
radar
that's a bit
around him.
different.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have that little radar around you.
Right.
Yeah, you can see here where it's like along the outer parts of the building. So like I'm assuming you'll move around in the area, and then if you want to like stop at like a stoplight or something, that you can still explore the area that the circle portion allows you to travel around. So I'm pretty excited.
Which in and
But
of
that might
itself is
not be how
quite
it
similar to
works.
like Pokemon Go. Like when you walk around in the overworld there, which is corresponding to your real world GPS location, there is a small white radar around
Oh
you.
yeah.
And any Pokemon that pop up in that area are the little Pokestops where you get your resources from.
Yeah, true. Yep, I didn't think about that.
It's
But
the way
yeah,
that
makes
he's like
sense.
running though. I don't know. So the map
That's
that's in
what
the
I'm saying is like you'll be able to control it like a thumbstick. I'm pretty sure that's what Nomura said. Like you'll still be able to control like a normal like console game. So you'll have the ability to move around with a joystick. But the GPS aspect is more of like where you can access.
I don't know.
That
See, I
makes
see this
sense.
like the city in the map behind, and I'm always wondering if we're going to do this AR aspect thing. Like, is that what you're going to be seeing? You're going to be seeing like representation that looks more like that, and then if you actually want to start playing, do you get to then zoom in a bit closer? Because he's running
Well, it
around
looks
like it's a
like
running animation. I don't think. Like, are you saying that
yeah.
the player actually playing the game is also running similarly? Like, you're not, right? You're saying that you
No,
can
no, no,
control
no,
that
no.
with a.
I'm saying the area where you're standing will give you that like circular area that you can move your character around in.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Actually, can you see in the shot right here? There's that really close ring where the Heartless are inside, but there's like another ring.
yeah. So that's the
Quite
battle ring,
far
and then
away.
you have your area of exploration ring, like how you were saying the Pokemon Go one.
Right. So what you think you can move your character anywhere within your larger ring? You
Yeah.
can make him run around and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Because
Okay.
I think when you enter the battle, you like it turns sideways, right? Or was it before that it turned sideways?
It turns sideways when it says battle start.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
if that was like a
in that
stylish
area,
thing.
I can also see. Yeah, no, that definitely feels like when you enter combat, you'll turn side. I mean, that, I guess it could be optional.
I mean, it looks cooler for the
Um.
trailer at least for it to be full screen.
Yeah. True.
That little rock attack is so underwhelming compared to all the previous ones. Like, oh yeah, summon
I
thunder,
know.
summon lightning, summon water. Just like hit him with a shit colored
And then
rock.
just like
Like,
a yeah.
drop a
Well,
big
it just appears on them
fat
too. It
goofy
doesn't even
turtle and
drop
just
on
goes.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, yeah, I'm really excited because I think it's just like this is a console game. Like this looks like Kingdom Hearts 3 to me, right? Like I know a lot of people say it's like downgraded. Like I get that, but this is also dev. Like, you're not going to render the entire. I guess this is like the release trailer though, so I can see that, but to me this is just like the start of like console gaming coming to phones, which is really cool. Or like console graphics coming to phones.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
It's a big upgrade regardless, I guess is what I'm saying.
it's a previous console, phone games
Or
you
to
played.
previous phone games. Yeah. Right. I guess I haven't played too many phone games.
Yeah,
But
I've seen some pretty good looking ones.
right, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good. I mean, obviously, you've got maybe lower poly Unity assets, but they still look good on a modern cell phone device. Like it's yeah, I mean, not going to
I don't
be
think this
what.
is Unity though, is it? It definitely looks like
Oh,
Unity
sorry,
4 to me.
Unreal on it. Sorry,
Oh,
screwed
okay.
up there.
No, you're good. Well, because I knew they had done Unity for Melody of Memory.
Yeah, I think that's why I got confused. But yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
no.
literally just reusing old assets, right? For all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
enemies, at least. Obviously, the buildings look like kind of shit in the background, but um,
Yeah, fair enough.
um, yeah. So I assume there's gonna be pretty heavy gacha presence, but like I don't know. Like, I noticed that when you attack like a large body, it doesn't reflect off the front. Like you can still damage them, so it's
Yeah.
not that selective in how you actually attack your enemies. They're more just, I suppose, big HP sponges that.
Yeah, I think it'll be like the Union Cross, right? Like,
Right.
I, you'll just be attacking the enemy.
Yeah. I mean, if it's fun, I don't really care. Like as long as the gameplay is like fun and satisfying.
Yeah. And this raid battle with
Potentially
your
a raid
friends,
battle again, right? Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That
that
sounds
sounds so
awesome.
exciting to me.
Yeah.
Like if they implement also like the raiding remotely, like Pokemon Go, like me and you Whale joining a gym, like just, I don't know, the idea of that just is so cool to me. Like I don't know, man, I'm really excited.
Hmm.
I know that's probably not what's gonna happen. Probably raid with local people, but still, even that's cool. Like
Yeah, maybe you could do
yeah,
remote if that is what's going to be. Like, I guess we're assuming right now that this boss fight isn't like a scripted story fight, and that it's something that,
right,
or maybe it is, but it's something you could potentially invite your friends to play along with you with.
right.
Obviously,
I
like
guess it was like the first raid battle was the dark side, right?
right,
So I guess that was my idea
okay,
or my reasoning. But yeah, no, totally fair. It could just be a story sequence.
but I mean that seems to be other players playing along with you there, so I assume this is a multiplayer fight, whether it's part of the story or not.
Right.
Yeah, like Pokemon Go makes a lot of money from these remote raid passes, right? Where there's a collectible monster and you're incentivized to do these battles because you can collect the monster afterwards, and you have a chance at it being shiny, which is an alternate color scheme, which is
Right.
has this no real value apart from the fact that it's just rarer than a regular one.
It's shiny.
But it's shiny.
Right.
That's right. Um, and you're trying to go for the strongest variation of the species. So, do you, I still imagine like they wouldn't charge you to actually play the combat of this game. I feel like there'll be gacha aspects to it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, Nomura did say that there will be a way to purchase kind of like GPS tokens. So you don't have to travel to places. You can just warp there.
Oh boy.
I don't know if he said purchase, but I think he said there is like a currency involved in like, if you want to just warp to somewhere, you can warp instead of traveling there.
So what I guess I'm wondering, like, what does that actually get you? Like, what's the reason for warping to a place? What's the benefit of
I
it?
imagine it'll be like, in your area, maybe like 10 kilometers away from you, there'll be a mission, or, there'll be an objective to walk X amount of distances from your home base or something.
Mm.
Like, I'm sure it'll be like more of a Pikmin or Pokemon style of adventure challenge, like of just, being active or going out, exploring. I guess, there's no basis for that, but I just kind of assumed.
Because I'm trying to tie that back into like, okay, what is the law reason? Like, are we patrolling our town looking for like abnormalities? Like, what's the reason? Like,
Oh,
are we
yeah.
trying to keep things in line with the Book of Prophecies? Like, we know this is an unwritten era, so we don't
Oh, this
necessarily
sounds like a
know.
cult now. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like
Yeah.
we a little character in the white coat sort of touched his ear to his earpiece as well, and I read that as being very similar to Sigurd radioing back into headquarters. So I assume
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
they're in the same organization club as Sigurd is, and
Yeah, so I'll probably be doing missions for our Professor Oak, which is Sigurd or something.
but because Sigurd seems to have some sort of awareness of the Book of Prophecies, like he knows that Brain was going to arrive when he did, and
Yep.
seems to be following along with Ephemer's ideals. I guess
Right.
that we're all going to be doing essentially the same thing, like trying to keep things in line with the Book of Prophecies. That's or
Okay.
trying to
Yeah.
bring about the world that it predicts. I suppose is what I'm trying to say there.
Oh, yeah, because I think Nomura also said they were experimenting with like changing the environments, like during events and stuff like that. So like, the I think they were saying that they were gonna make like the green pastures like different environments to map or to kind of match what the area was, and then they kind of did away with that, and it was
Okay,
going to be more event focused. So I mean that kind of falls in line with what you're saying, I think.
interesting. Interesting. All right, we've talked for 3 hours. Let's finish this trailer off.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
Go, we have fun, don't we? No,
This is highlights of my week, months, whatever.
but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We really don't know many details about the story so far, but obviously, if they're smart, they'll try and set up Kingdom Hearts 4 with it, or I guess potentially even link Kingdom Hearts 4 back into this, because if it is going to go on for as long as Union Cross did, or they hope for it to be a big platform that'll bring in lots
Yeah.
of money in perpetuity, like they'll probably
I
try
think
and
it.
launch strong,
Yeah.
and then hopefully have another boost of players when Kingdom Hearts 4 eventually comes out.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be quite as similar to Union Cross, just because I feel like this is part of the Lost Master arc, which I believe they said 4 is as well, but I could be wrong.
I believe so.
So the previous one was like, Union Cross was kind of separate in a way, and it wasn't actually in the end, but it was separate from the story they were telling at the time, the Secret of Darkness saga, or whatever they called it.
Right.
So I feel like this one would either try to finish before 4, or at least kind of stay on the same.
Really? You think it would be
I guess
wrapped up by the time 4 comes out?
Either that, or 4 is just totally not going, like, either at the end is going to touch on the Lost Master arc, because I guess I can see 4 being kind of trying to get Sora back to Kingdom Hearts, or like to the world of Kingdom Hearts, as opposed to Unreality.
Yeah. Well, that'll be the Disney characters' goal, and like Riku and Kari's for sure.
Yeah. So I guess this would be kind of concurrent with that. And I guess maybe kind of similar to Union Cross, where it would be setting up the story for post Cage 4, or post a couple Cage games, to kind of set up the end goal, or at least give meaning to what uh you know enemies Sora's fighting, which it sounds like will be the Lost Masters.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if they want to tie it all in together, they'll have some sort of like you like you need to set up a lot more about like the darknesses and unreality, and like how these characters learned about it in the first place. Like, because like
Right.
Ansem, Secret Dark. Oh, sorry. I guess Apprentice Not seems aware of that world, right? And even potentially like Yen said, is aware of that world based off what Melody of Memory says. Like you have to
Right.
you have to get that information out there somewhere, and um, I feel like this game is going to play around with it. Like I'm sure they'll have some sort of science lab where there's characters trying to figure out or doing research on the worlds outside of their own.
No, no, I think I agree because in Scarlet Kylum, I think in the Ultimania, it confirms that the enemies you're fighting, like the 13 Xehanorts, are actually replicas.
Yes. Yeah.
So right, that kind of ties into your whole laboratory theory of like, there was replicas before Vexen made them.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the idea that. So I don't know. I'm really excited because Brain's back. He's arrived in this time, and presumably straight after where Union Cross leaves off, Missing Link is going to pick up. I'm glad to see our boy back. I mean, do you reckon we'll get any voice content, or it's all going to be
Oh,
text-based?
definitely. Nah, I think it'll be voiced. If they're going into the whole like 3D modeling and like voicing Sigurd,
Mm-hmm.
right. I guess why get a voice actor just for a trailer?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
I guess you could, but also a point about that. I was so excited that they like revealed that in a cipher.
That's great. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I love cryptography and stuff like that, and I really want to delve into the Scala language at some point, or at least get some clues so we can go back to Cage Through Remind and read that like massive plaque on the break.
I'm really, really, really glad you brought that up, by the way, because speaking of the ciphers, the the 13 questions asked by Nomura in that Q&A given out. Um, if anyone's unaware, there was a interview published right at the same time that the Dark Road finale came out, basically having these 13 questions, and they would say Q, question, 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 A, answer, answer, answer. But the fourth and the 10th Q was replaced by an O. So it's
that's right.
not out of the realm of possibility that on the 4th of the 10th, which is tomorrow, something might happen.
You think it'll be? I kind of assumed it would be American, but I could be totally wrong about that.
So like the 10th of April next year.
Yeah,
That's possible.
because I feel like they said the beta will be out in 2022, but I don't think they said release by 2022.
Yeah, the beta's coming out tomorrow. What do you mean? It's coming out on the 4th of the 10th. Yeah, we're all invited to it.
Okay, I could see that. I assumed it would be more about the release date, but beta date could be. Dude, if it drops tomorrow, man,
Whew.
this work week's gonna be hard.
Yeah, no shit. No kidding.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for it. I feel like they've given us so little to speculate on so far, apart from just like previous context from earlier games. But
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, as long as it's not too insanely predatory,
I think just
I'll be
yeah,
happy.
I wouldn't get your hopes up.
But no, I really feel
if
like
I mean
they're
if
just gonna
there is
go
gacha in it, we don't know
hog
there's
wild.
gacha in it.
I mean, as long as you can still complete it, like, I mean, the dream is that you can still complete it through skill, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to have the
Or
best
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what I've said, like, we've seen combat so far, right? So if you can dodge enough and not take enough damage and deal enough damage out, like, yeah, maybe you do chip damage, but at least you do some. And you can eventually beat the content. Union Cross, you couldn't right?
dodge. Yeah.
You were dealing out Euro damage, and you could maybe put an enemy to sleep if you were lucky. Like, that would be a way around taking damage back.
Right.
But you had really limited options. Like, if you used up your 2 revives, that was it. So a lot of people, yeah, if you weren't keeping up with the current power base and you spent your jewels, you didn't know where to spend them, quote unquote, correctly, or you just didn't get lucky, you could find yourself, outpowered for the current content. And there was really no way around that apart from just either spend jewels on revives or whatever.
I remember that.
So if this is more of like a 3D action game and you have the ability to dodge and zoom and move around the 3D space and not just instantly die when you run out of turns, then I think I'd be happier with that as a solution. Like,
Yeah.
you're not forced to spend. Again, in theory, you could potentially outskill instead of being forced to spend. I feel like that's a happy medium, right?
Yeah. I guess yeah. I'm curious what the UI is gonna look like because we haven't seen any
No.
usage of how you use these trophies.
Do you reckon it's like, I don't know, let's say they
Well,
reuse the
looking at
old.
the movement again,
Yeah.
it looks like you're kind of on an autopilot, right? Like that circular ring might be like your area of exploration, but it kind of moves, right? Like it looks like you're more like turning your character as opposed to like kind of moving the joystick.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's like an arrow that's going to be pointing, like you're always running and you just like point the
Yeah,
arrow. Like, or you
it
tap a
looks
button
like
to
that
like
white
auto
bar.
run
Yeah,
and you just like you drag it across the top of the screen or maybe the bottom of the screen to move the white bar
hmm
and he just runs in that direction until he runs into something.
yeah. I'm really curious to see how it plays.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And I guess going back to the combat, like you said, like I wonder if you just like tap for regular attacks. Because you can move, again, like if you're on a phone, are you gonna have like up, down, left, right on a virtual D-pad on your left hand side, and then like
Yeah,
you've seen like
I
PlayStation
imagine
emulators,
so.
right, where you have the
Yeah,
buttons more or less overlaid on top of you, on top of the screen. Like I wonder if
and
it's
I
gonna
guess you would
play
have
like that.
like a list of. Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, it would have to. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but I mean, it looks like that's kind of how you move in this arena or this little battle sequence.
It's very like the world ends with Yui or Neo, at least the way that he sort of skirts around the place. I feel.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
Yeah, I quite like it too. Like I really, really, really enjoyed the way the world ends with you played.
hmm
Um, so I was gonna say, like, do you reckon that Mickey visiting Skylar Lake Island is gonna come up in this game through like some sort of flash forward, or again now I'm
No.
referring to the end of Melody of Memory, or would
Yeah,
that be
I
what
think this
he's
is
getting up
separate.
to? Okay, because like they've
I would
obviously
say,
made Skylar
yeah.
Lake Island assets, right? So did they make them exclusively for
Uh,
this game, or did they make them for Kingdom Hearts 4, and now they're just taking, low res versions of them, chucking them in the mobile game?
oh, do you think Mickey's gonna visit this version of Scarlet Island?
Well, it's that or the one that's kind of got
Yeah,
semi destroyed in in Dark Road, right?
I kind of was assuming it was that one.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously they've got those assets already completely built, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would make more sense why he would visit here, right? Because why would he kind of be sent back to where he was before? But I mean, he says Scarlet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Scott, I mean, I kind of still don't trust the way the interview talks about how like the city is built on top of itself, and that this is an older version, and they just build the new version on top. I still feel like this one's built on the landmass, and the other one's built on top of the ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really
I don't
trust
remember
like
that interview.
a tiered city kind of explanation so much.
I don't think unless it like breaks apart. But even
Right,
then,
unless this
like,
one gets destroyed. Yeah,
yeah.
which it could,
Which I mean, I feel like that's why Xehanort was removed from the city.
because they knew
But
that shit was going to go down. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know. Going back to like my whole, we're playing as part of some secret order. That's, I don't know. Like if you read the Book of Prophecies and you knew, oh shit, Scarlet's going to be destroyed,
mm-hmm.
would you want to like train? Would you want to spread that information and cause chaos? Like, would you want to let people know the apocalypse was coming, or would you want to just like keep everyone calm and try and find a way to stop it?
I mean, it might, right? If we're doing this in factions again, I mean, they might be still following the Green Notebook. Like, it might
Interesting.
come down to another war between unions again.
Do you think we are going to be into factions too?
I I would say so. Like, it seems that kind of seems to be the trend.
Interesting.
And well, I guess all in the games I've played, right? Like Pokemon, you had the 3 different divisions, and then Union Cross, you had the 5, and
Yeah.
so.
Interesting. I didn't even consider that, but yeah, I suppose so.
Well, isn't Sigurd? Isn't he?
He's dressed in a very similar looking coat to these guys we've seen so
Well,
far,
I was gonna
but it's different color.
say more of his like background. Like he might be part of some like 5 gods or something like that, or Norse mythology.
Oh, sorry, yeah, from the Norse mythology. I think he fights. What is it? He fights a dragon, I believe. And I forget exactly who he is.
Maleficent? No, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I was just saying maybe like they have some animal or some constellation or something associated with them, and will be under,
Okay.
factions of those or something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see. Right, I don't see why we would be fighting together, right? I don't. I guess that really only comes from Union Cross, so maybe
Yeah, but
maybe Ephemera was kind of against that
a
whole
hundred
thing too.
percent.
So maybe,
Yeah, it's like you aren't splitting anyone. We're staying together.
yeah,
We're light
I
battling
can
the
see that.
darkness. We're not competing against each other.
Right. But then what would be like? We wouldn't be collecting Lux, right? We'd be collecting something like intel. What would be our currency in
Yeah, I don't know if we're
our
just like
XP?
if we're just scouting around, and yeah, you just get experience for killing Heartless back in a typical Kingdom Hearts game, but you just go on
Oh,
missions this time around, like, and you
what
aren't
if
necessarily
this
collecting
is
Lux.
right? What if we're collecting hearts?
Okay.
I mean, that could be something.
Yeah. Okay. Go back to like the OG, like Xemnas' style of summoning Kingdom
Yeah, well,
Hearts.
like he had to get the idea from somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Sure.
It seems like his ideas, or like the ideas are coming from the past usually.
Okay. 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 I'm on board.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah.
Like this generation decides to go through with it. They're like, because they talk about like there is a way to summon Kingdom Hearts, but it's forbidden. Like, where did where did the
Yeah.
forbiddenness come from? Did it come from these guys?
I imagine they'd come up with a different way to summon Kingdom Hearts though, because it feels like each one's different. Like there's always a different way to summon Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, it's similar, but
Well, like you have the 7 world hearts, you have the amalgamation of hearts for the organization collected. You
right,
have
the artificial Kingdom
the
Hearts, yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess those are 2 artificial, and then you have the one light versus the one darkness, which splits into the 13 and the 7, and the 7 princesses of heart, and the 7 lights, the orders or whatever from Dark Road. I guess
I assume
that was
that's
to summon,
effectively the same thing, right? Like you just gather 7 lights.
right? And then but Baldur was gonna defeat 13 lights, right? To summon Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah, which is
or
like the
turn
opposite of what Sora
13's the
did.
shadows. Yeah,
I mean, it sounded like he was trying to make his own version of the Keyblade, right? Like if he corrupted 13 lights into shadows, would he not also have his 13 keys and then turn that into the Keyblade and summon Kingdom Hearts?
don't you have to have the well? But the 7 verse 13 only originated from BBS because wasn't it because Ventus and Vanitas broke the Keyblade into 13 pieces of light and darkness from their one true light and one true darkness?
Uh, Bleh. I don't know. I still, yeah. I feel like the
I mean, I
original
don't know.
Keyblade. I don't know.
Well, I know that the original Keyblade definitely did split into 7 pieces of light and 13 of darkness.
Right.
Like that was the whole thing.
I think in DDD, he's saying, oh, it's like he took it. I kind of took a shortcut method to getting where I needed to go. I did 1 and 1 instead of 7 and 13. It was like a shortcut to the goal.
Well, I think he was saying that because wasn't the idea was that Ventus and his darkness, that was the original crafting of the Keyblade. I guess that's inference. We don't ever actually see that, but I assumed that was what he was referring to when he was saying,
Yeah, I still feel like there was an original one that,
yeah.
but I guess I get what you're saying. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there is one more thing I wanted to bring up.
Please.
I know we've been talking for hours, um, but right, there's a scene if you can find it. I'm not sure if you probably will know what I'm talking about. Like the whole when they're doing like the light and darkness, and then like dreams and contortion or something like that. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Uh-huh.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, because my idea would be the opposite of dreams would be nightmares, which, we've had the spirits and the nightmares in Dream Drop Distance. So the fact that they, I think twice in this, refer to contortions. So I'm wondering if that's going to be like, maybe that's a translation thing, but I don't know. The fact that they brought it up a couple times is like, that's a weird word to use.
Yeah, okay. I
or
mean, yes, they
distortion,
use
not
like
contortion.
they use 3 opposites from each other, right? Light and darkness, dreams and distortion, remembered and forgotten. But yeah, is distortion
Yeah.
necessarily the opposite of a dream? I guess it's a dream. If it's not a nightmare, is it like an idealized version of, oh, I have a dream, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be, successful in this and that and this, and it's like an idealized
Right.
version of your real life. Whereas is a distortion like a corrupted version of that? Like it's
Yeah, I can
a
see that.
distorted version of. Yeah, I didn't really sort of consider this, but it's a good point you're bringing up.
Yeah, no, and I like your interpretation of that as well. It's not like specifically like falling asleep and going right. It's more of like the your ideal version of the future, as opposed to a corrupted version of of the
Right.
future.
Like if someone distorts your view of another person, it could be like because they're feeding you misinformation, but now you see them as
Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
I like that.
And then yeah, contortion was at the very end, right? Like
Okay.
the night you awoke in
I
this
must have.
world, the stars shone contorted in the pitch black sky, which is
Okay,
an
so a
interesting.
different word.
Yeah,
Never mind.
no, that's okay. No, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but that is interesting too. That the whole contortion in the sky. I wonder if that has any meaning,
Hmm.
right? Because that's a pretty odd thing to note.
It's if like the world itself has reacted in some way to Brain's arrival. Yeah.
Yeah, like he something like maybe like I don't know gets jettisoned and like breaks. Oh, maybe it's a tear in the fabric of time and space.
Here we go.
Yeah, but then that would mean this would be a different world line, right?
Hmm. Okay.
Which doesn't really line up. But it could be like maybe instead of a tear, it's like a reverberation. Like he's just kind of slipping through time and not necessarily. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different,
It's fun to
ideas that
think
you can
about.
come up with.
But yeah, tomorrow
Yeah.
we'll find out when the beta drops. So
Yeah.
just hold on tight and.
So I guess we can start wrapping up.
Yeah, I think.
What do you think the overall, or I guess we can leave it there. I was just gonna curious what
No, no,
your
go.
kind of overall thought was behind what this story is gonna be about, unless we already touched upon it.
No, that's a good question. I guess from a meta level, like we're trying to set up. I think you're trying to set up Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be a big part of it,
Mm-hmm.
as well as I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of it from like a meta level as well. Like, okay, you want this to be a game that'll last quite a while. Is from my point of view. Like, I don't think you set out a gacha game to be a quick flash in the pan and then it's done. I feel like you want it to be a platform that people will get invested in and stick around with for quite a while, spending lots of cash regularly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, like I said, are we part of some sort of group that's working in the shadows to achieve some goal, whether it's 'cause my only idea is like because we have established that we know what the Book of Prophecies is and we seem to be going along with it. Like, are we trying to make sure order is kept in the various worlds? Like, what are we trying to do?
Yeah.
And they can invent endless heartless that'll go and pollute these various worlds that we have to go bop. But yeah, I don't necessarily know. Oh yeah, and then I guess like, you
I
have
mean, yeah.
the other plot points of trying to set up. Okay, well, whose grandparents, who is Brain
Right.
and Kari's
Yeah.
grandmother, and potentially Sora and Riku's grandmother as well, or maybe even Terra and Vens and Aqua's, not Vens, sorry. Are we gonna meet their parents? Like, what's the point apart from just oh yeah, cool, their parents, cool. Like, I feel like Kari's grandmother for sure. Like, she literally seems to be reading the book, like referencing
She
from
has
the
to
Book of
have read the
Prophecies.
Book of Prophecies. Yeah.
And
Because isn't like the pop-up book
at the start of
that
Healing
like shows
Cross,
both
yeah,
of them? Yeah. Isn't that the Book of Prophecies?
yeah,
Not that that matters, but I mean, it is kind of, she's telling the Book of Prophecies or telling the ancient Keyblade legacy to this child
straight to Kari,
many
yeah.
times.
Yeah,
Like Kyrie's like, tell me again. She's like, again? So it's like she has pretty good knowledge of, what transpired back then.
and they would also parallel straight to Player and Xehanort, right? Like Xehanort is being told all these stories about
Oh,
players
yeah.
past, and Player is now, quite an odd person themselves.
Yeah,
Wanting to pass
true.
on stories from this ancient world, like I assume it's, quite similar.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And maybe it's not Kari's grandmother, but maybe like again Kari's great.
Well, it
great
would have to
grandmother,
be,
like another
yeah.
couple generations on. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I imagine young Xehanort and Kyrie's grandmother, would probably be about the same age.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why Vor seemed like such a good candidate, except she got the alt, unfortunately. But
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, why bring up, like, what's the point of bringing up bloodlines now when you seem to have established the idea that Sora was this pretty unique, dull, ordinary boy, that his unremarkableness was kind of, it's almost what made him special, right? Like, he was special because he always stepped up to do what was right. It wasn't by
Hmm.
birthright that he was given this power. He just, he just does what's right. He is who he is. Um,
Right.
and I don't necessarily like the idea of going back and giving him even more specialness. I don't know.
I think the specialness is gonna come from the player. Like I really am leaning towards him being uh the player character, but who knows?
Yeah, I could see him being some level of reincarnation, or like the player's heart ends up in him somehow. I suppose, even though Zexion only saw three hearts in the three little boxes. I don't know.
Right, but
If Sora's
isn't the
himself is a
idea?
reincarnated version of the player.
Yeah,
Like,
his heart melded with
yeah.
or becomes the other. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know.
Wouldn't be
I
thrilled
mean,
about it, but I
really,
could
it
see it.
doesn't matter, I guess, in the end. But it seems I don't know. All the signs kind of like seem to point to that.
What if player
Like,
becomes
I think
Yozora
especially
after
the
all?
whole.
And my original theory is correct. Like his third
Oh,
life
I
is
thought he's the
Yozora.
master of masters. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, because Sora is the master of masters. Couldn't even finish that without throwing up. Sorry.
I don't think. Okay, I'd have to go back through and look at all the evidence for that. If there is, I honestly haven't looked into it, so I can't really. I personally don't think it is, and then I think about it some, and I'm like, it's possible, but I haven't like looked at the arguments for it and stuff.
I
But
mean,
anyway, that whole scene with Ephemer and Sora in that like light, kind of mimicking player and Ephemer, like I don't know, I think that just kind of not seals the deal, but like definitely makes it very concrete in my head.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. All right, then we're gonna leave it there, folks. Almost at 3.5 hours. Well, thank you as always, man. This is always a good time. I do really enjoy doing this.
Yeah. No, me too, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, and be sure to leave comments if you guys have any, if you want to add to it, and we'll pick some out. Definitely remember to leave some about Recoded as well, and we did talk about Data Brain. I mean, see, it's everywhere. Recoded's so important to the storyline.
but yeah, I mean, if you guys again like have particular topics you'd like us to cover, we have a whiteboard full of them, but we're always looking for new submissions. So yeah, I think this has been episode 2 of State of the Heart, and we thank you again for listening or watching, however you choose to consume it. Yeah, if there's still platforms that it's not available for you that you'd like it to be available on, do let us know in a comment. But I think Water's done a really good job of getting a lot of them out so far.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know what I'm doing.
But yeah, obviously YouTube, Spotify, and a fair few of the big ones so far. But yeah, this is our first time doing this, and I think we're doing okay so far. We're gonna keep learning, gonna keep trying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Missing Link beta definitely tomorrow. 100% confirmed.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow.
100% confirmed.
Dude, I
Tenfold.
legit, if it's tomorrow, man, that'd be so
Cancel
cool.
work, cancel all my obligations.
Just
Sorry,
like-
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I guess. Well,
All
thank you
right.
very much, and we'll talk to you later. All the best. Bye bye.
Bye.